All right, what's up, and welcome to the Asus Strix G15 Advantage Edition live benchmarking session. I'm really excited about this one, so we're going to get right into it. We've got a bunch of games you can see on the down over there. You can see all the games we're going to test. We're going to try to do them roughly in that order. So we got some synthetic tests in there too, including some 3D Mark and Cinebench, and then a bunch of games. Can't wait to see how this laptop does. I'm going to go ahead and set this live stream to be public. Let's make sure the sound is good. Yep, sounds pretty good. And here we go. Nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with some 3D Mark Firestrike action. Oh, and also I should just make sure, well, and plus we're waiting for everyone to hop into the live stream. Let me make sure the Armory Crate is updated. I did make sure I've updated Windows and the BIOS, though it looks like there is a new couple of small Armory Crates updates here. Let's just go and get those done while we wait. And then we also need to make sure we set the fans to max and get set it to manual mode. All right. So I'm really excited to see this one, see the performance on this laptop in particular, because it should be some really great performance. This is a high bang for the buck laptop. So basically, we got a Radeon RX6800M in this machine, which is just a really powerful GPU for the money. This laptop goes for $1649, so very low price considering that it's going to compete primarily with RTX 3070 and 3080 GPUs, at least from everything that I've seen in the past and some other tests that I've seen. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this does. All right. Come on, HW plugin. Waiting for everyone to hop in the stream. Looks like we got people joining the stream now. Armory Crate updated. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, so we're going to go to manual mode. We're just going to set everything to max. Set the fans to max. Apply. Okay. Very nice. Okay, so I think everything else here is good. Yeah, everything is clear. And we're good to get this benchmark going. Okay, here we go. Let's get into Timespy. Open it up with some Timespy action. What's up, Mutterwalla? Welcome to the stream. Looking forward to benchmarking this machine, mainly because it's such a high performance for the dollar, and I think this is going to be a very popular laptop this year. It's already been very popular. I think there's just been a lot of I think if there's any controversy around this machine, I think it's primarily the fact that when when Asus launched this machine, they shipped a bunch of laptops that had basically failed Radeon 6800Ms. So there's some controversy basically around whether or not it was a safe laptop to buy, but I think it was just a bad batch initially, and most of the people that have bought it since have had a good experience with it. So most of the people that have bought this have basically had a really good experience, or basically they just had to immediately return it. So, what's up, original creator? What's up, Deero? Hey, Scappa with the $2 super chat. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Original of the creator, the only 5900HX that Asus is letting go up to 100 watts, while regular G15, G17, SCAR 15 can only go up to 80 watts. Interesting. Yeah, I think original creator, the what's that one? The Asus Zephyrus Duo 15 also can go up to higher, I think 92 watts or something like that. Shows in the armory crate. Yeah, I was just looking at that. It looked like the power slider was set all the way up to 100 watts. We'll see how it does in Cinebench. I think it'll do really well. Now, I want to mention that the this TDP of 194 watts, this is not accurate. So don't really look at this number. Not sure exactly what number is being pulled here, but we can't basically actively monitor the wattage. So I don't know if this is like total system watts right here or what that number is. Abdul Ram says, thanks for the review, Gizmo. Are you planning to post a video comparing the performance of the Legion 7, X17, and GE76? Yeah, I still want to make a detailed performance analysis between those three laptops. Imagine a 5900HX that could go up to 200 watts. I don't know that it would actually perform that much better because there's, basically it can only use so much wattage and it can only clock so high before it becomes unstable. So I imagine 100 watts is approaching the limit of what it needs, but I don't know. I don't know exactly. Probably can keep overclocking it more and more. The more power it has, but like I said, there's a limit before it becomes basically unstable or you fry it. So we've got a lot of games planned. So anyone that's just hopping the stream, you can see the list of benchmarks we'll be doing here on the left. Try to get through all of them today. Injured Kid, what is the GPU problem with this laptop? So many people complaining about it on Best Buy. So Injured Kid, I was talking about this a minute ago, but basically a lot of the negative reviews, I believe, the core issue, I don't know, I haven't confirmed this with Asus or anything like that, but I believe the core issue was that the liquid metal on the GPU wasn't applied properly on some of the laptops that were shipped, resulting in a portion of the laptops that just had a fried GPU right off the bat. So either it overheated right away because of the liquid metal there, or the liquid metal leaked out and like shorted something. But I don't think that that's going to be an issue over the long term. I think you either get a good one or you got a bad one, and you don't have to worry about it as long as you don't have an issue basically right off the bat. You should be good, I think. But if you're worried about it, or concerned about it, Best Buy does offer an excellent extended warranty, which actually I do recommend. Like anytime I buy an expensive laptop or anything from Best Buy, I pretty much always get that extended warranty because it's so good. Because you get accidental coverage, and then also any material problems on the inside of the laptop will be covered. So if you run into any of those issues down the line, it won't be a problem at all anyway. Dear O, how is the performance in like most of the games 3070 full TGP or 3080? Are you talking about this one? What's the performance of this one versus a 3070 with full TGP 3080? I think it's just going to depend on a lot on which game you're talking about, because certain games are going to be more optimized, say for the Ryzen processor, Intel processor versus or the Radeon GPU versus NVIDIA GPU. How mature the drivers are, and then we also have issues like memory sensitive games and the fact that this has the slower RAM in it. So and we also don't have a mux switch on this laptop. So it's a combination of all those things that come together to kind of semi-hinder the performance. But still, despite all of those little caveats, the performance of this machine is pretty freaking crazy for the money. Like this GPU score, 11,228 is so good for only 1649. That's actually a higher score. I believe I believe my Scar 15 barely beat that one, like at 11,400, I think. And that has an RTX 3080 and costs like $2,700. So basically over $1,000 more. And this one's basically right there matching performance. So very, very impressive. Let's go ahead and run Timespy one more time because I always average 2 runs. Am I sticking with the Legion 7i as the daily driver? Yes, I just haven't taken the time to reinstall Windows and transfer the drives over yet from my Scar 15. Where's the GPU temperature? I think Afterburner is not reading it. We could try updating our version of Afterburner. I would prefer to do that actually if we can here real quick. Let me see if I can get the latest version of Afterburner. 4.46. Let's cancel this. I think I may have clicked the wrong item there. There we go. I hate websites like this that have like a bunch of fake download buttons like these buttons. Start downloads, download now. It's like these are just ads. It's just, yeah, okay. Cool. What was the previous version of Afterburner? So I had 463 beta 5. So this is 464 beta 3. So that's definitely newer. I don't think I can just install this. I really have to remove Afterburner first. Too bad there's not like an update utility or something. It failed. It says that it's active. Oh, it was active. Okay. I thought I had closed it because it wasn't in the tray down here. Does it have AMD FreeSync? Yes, I believe this does. And this is a 300 hertz display. So you get, I think this laptop just provides so much incredible value. And if you do want to maximize the performance on this machine, you'll ideally want to upgrade the RAM. And then you'll want to also potentially use an external monitor if you really want to maximize the performance. Okay, so we're hopefully with this new version of Afterburner, we can get the GPU temperature up there, but I don't want to mess around with it too long if it's. I don't want to mess around too long with this if it holds us up. You know, it's better to just keep moving through the benchmarks. So while we're waiting for this to install, I just also want to mention real quick. So I've got a this awesome T-shirt right here. Is from Into the AM, and there's a link in the description. I've partnered up with them to basically provide a discount and an opportunity, like a way for you guys to help support the channel. So you can click the link in the description for the Into the AM, and it will take you to their website and give you a 10% off coupon on everything you order. And then also whatever you order at the same time goes to help support my channel. So it's a pretty sweet deal. It's let me see if I can paste this into the chat, the link in the chat here. But so big shout out and thank you to them for helping support my channel. And I really do like the Into the AM shirts. They've been like very high quality prints, and I've washed this shirt and dried it probably 3 or 4 times now. And it's not like the design is not degraded like most graphic t-shirts. Like the material of the shirt is high quality. The graphic like the graphic portion of the t-shirts seem to be very high quality. So I've been very impressed with their products in general. And they're reasonably priced on the higher price side, but not too extreme. I think for the quality of the shirt, it's good. As far as I know, they've maintained their quality. So I definitely would recommend checking out their designs if you're in the market for a shirt. So big shout out and thank you to them. And thank you to anyone that uses the link and helps support my channel at the same time. So what are some good external monitors for this laptop? I would recommend looking for, uh, my recommendation would probably be to lean towards a QHD 240 hertz or a full HD, either a QHD or a full HD. It depends on what game you're playing. Like if you're playing Fortnite, you'll be able to get good FPS and performance. And QHD for a lot of, depending on what game you're playing, right? Like if you're playing Warzone, you probably are going to want to stay full HD. If you're playing something like Apex Legends, you can probably go QHD. The GPU in this one will actually scale pretty well to QHD resolution gaming, I believe. Um, about what an RTX 3070 would. In some cases, what a 3080 would. Let's go ahead and get Armory Crate back open. Just make sure we're in manual mode. Yep. Good to go. Everything there's still good to go. Go ahead and exit these extra applications. Okay. But the key thing to look for when you're looking at a monitor is something that's good brightness. I think around a 25 to 27 inch external monitor is kind of like the ideal size. You could also go for a slightly wider aspect ratio. I like that too. And then just try to get for at least 144 hertz kind of as the baseline. But I would recommend up to 240 hertz or 300 hertz. Though you're not going to be able to hit 300 FPS in a lot of the games. You'll need to. It just depends on the game, though. Bacon says, "I also have this laptop. It's a beast. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I've been playing on it actually, here and there, just kind of testing it out. Like I was playing a bunch of Fortnite on it the other day for like 4 or 5 hours, and I really enjoyed playing on it. Like the keyboard itself stayed cool when you're playing games. Didn't run into any issues. Like it played great. Didn't have any problems. It was a very good experience. You have a budget of $1,700. Which gaming laptop would you pick? Hoshita, this is definitely one of the best, if not the best. Oh, I should probably put a link to this laptop as well. Let me go ahead and do that while we're. Go ahead and do that while we're waiting for this Timespy. But let's make sure people can access the link to this laptop. Cool. So if you do use the link in the description down below, it does go to help support my channel. But as always, no pressure to buy this laptop at all. Only buy a laptop whenever you find one that you think you'll love. Now, in general, I think this laptop, like the way I would kind of summarize it is, if you're after a machine that is just like a great all-around bang for the buck, this is going to do really, really well in the vast majority of games for the money. Okay, it's not going to be the peak performer because it doesn't have a mux switch or advanced Optimus, and it doesn't have the fastest RAM. So, but you can bypass those things if you're willing to get by them. So, those two issues are primarily going to affect esports CPU bound games, right? So, if you're looking to play, like if you want to play Fortnite at 300 FPS, I would actually not recommend this laptop. I would instead recommend a laptop that does have a mux switch because you're going to get big performance games in a game like Fortnite. A mux switch or advanced Optimus. So something like the Aorus 15G with an RTX 3060 that has that mux switch, it'll allow you to hit much higher FPS in Fortnite in particular, right? But I mean, it's not like you're getting terrible FPS in Fortnite. You're still getting like, at least I was getting when I was playing like 150 to 200 most of the time. and it was obviously very good experience still. So it's not like it's bad. It's just not the optimal performance at this price point for certain games. Um, but it'll be very interesting to see as we get through benchmarking all the different games and how it does in each one. Because it'll be a lot more revealing, I guess, as we test a wide variety of games, tonight. So I think it'll give us a clearer idea of the strengths and weaknesses. I believe the strengths are primarily going to be the GPU bound games, where you can really just let that RX6800M kind of soar and take advantage of its max performance. Is an Asus ROG Strix G17 1660 Ti good? So I would say the 1660 Ti is still a good value if you get it at the right price, but you wouldn't want to spend too much on it. Because you can probably, most 1660 Ti's, you could still get like an RTX 3060 instead, which is going to be a lot more powerful than a 1660 Ti. Brett Allen with the $5. I just got my laptop back from Sager. I'll be working on the review this week if everything goes well. Nice. Thanks so much for the $5 support, Britt. Britt's working on reviewing the big beefy Clevo laptop with a desktop CPU. I'm really curious about it. I haven't been able to find any really good information on it, so he's gonna do a review and kind of send it over. I'm really curious. Does AMD have something similar to DLSS? They have okay, so there's our other score, 11,234. And those scores are extremely similar, though the CPU score is just a little bit higher this time. So 11,234, CPU 9,220. Okay. And we want to average this score with the last score. So let me go ahead and go back to there. We can average these together for our score. Okay, so we had 11,228 last time. And 34 this time, so he's got to go 3 down for that one. 89.33. That's more complicated math. So 89.33 was the first run. Let's get the calculator up on here. 89.33 plus, what did we get? 92.20. And we average those together for 90.77. Okay. All right. Very nice. All right, now let's go ahead and now this is an interesting one. Port Royale. Oh, you were asking about I don't know. Let's see what happens when we try to run Point Royale. This is a real-time ray tracing benchmark. This is basically made. I don't know. Let's just see what happens. I don't know even what would happen necessarily trying to run this. So regarding, did you upgrade the RAM? No, we're running stock RAM, Miguel. This is the stock RAM. So regarding DLSS, basically we have the new AMD. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it basically does similar upscaling, but not quite as intelligently as DLSS. But it also works for NVIDIA GPUs and Radeon GPUs. So it applies to all GPUs basically. And there's limited game support for it at this point. And I haven't done detailed performance analysis or really watched much on it yet, but it definitely seems promising. So we'll have to see, but it's going to benefit all GPUs, not necessarily just AMD Radeon GPUs. So FSR is the name of it. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I think it has promise. Though from the initial impressions, DLSS still seemed like it was going to be a better product, but it's I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Fidelity Super Resolution FSR. Yeah, Fidelity may be the name of it. Fidelity FX. Maybe I don't know. I should just look it up. Radeon Super Sampling. Okay, so it looks like it's running this Port Royale. It's actually running at a pretty high FPS, interestingly enough. But Fidelity FX Super, I believe is the name of it. And it's a similar tech to DLSS, but it doesn't quite do the same thing. But the thing I love about this Fidelity FX is that it's like going to be applied to lots of different games, and it could apply to older GPUs at the same time. So if you've got a older GPU, it's going to be really awesome because you might see a big performance uplift. I want to point out that our temperature here is pretty high. I'm not sure which temp this is because we have two GPU temperatures. I'm guessing this is the main GPU temp and this is the CPU integrated GPU temp. So I'm pretty sure this is the temp to look at here, and it is pretty high at 93. But I'm really curious to see what we get on this. 5882. That's really good, actually. Isn't that pretty comparable? It's like more than a 3060, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. I think a 3080 does like around 7,000 or so, a little over 7,000. For people that are curious, run Fire Strike as well. Have I opened this? I did not take but did I take the bottom off during the unboxing? I'm not sure if I did or not. I'll take the bottom off for the review though, for sure. KP Production just got the Asus G14 R9 3060 today. Nice. What do you think of it? Um, Philip Dunn says keyboard, speakers, etc. The internals relevant to performance are identical. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Can NVIDIA GPUs run FSR and DLSS at the same time, given that they work in different ways? Miguel, I'm not sure. That's a great question. Hey, can you recommend me a laptop bag for the Asus ROG Strix G15? So I bought this bag from Best Buy, and I've been using this. This fits the Alienware X 17. It fits the Area 51M, and it's like got three moderately large compartments. Let me just see what brand this is. This is a Targus. But my recommendation, if you are not sure about the laptop bag, is just take your laptop into whatever store that sells a lot of different kinds of backpacks, like Best Buy, for example, and just put your laptop in the bag and see how it fits. But one thing I really liked about this Targus bag is that it has a slot for an iPad. So I oftentimes will travel with my iPad as well. So it's like a padded slot that holds the iPad. And then there's also additional padding on the bottom of the backpack so that if you set the backpack down hard, the laptop has some extra cushion. Jordan Charles with the super chat, $5 Canadian. Nice, thanks so much. Looking to replace my 2017 MacBook Pro in Canada. Budget is 2,000. Was looking for a G14 for 2K or GS66 for 2150. Would you recommend these or any others? Hmm. So we're almost done running this Fire Strike. Once this is done, I'll hop over to the sheet and kind of give you a quick rundown on which ones I would recommend for around that price point. So you got 2,000. Yeah. Okay, let's see what the Fire Strike does here. Oh, we got the last combination here. Just thinking about which ones I'd recommend the most. So at $2,000 or less, and that should be around Canadian money should be around the same value as a US dollar, right? Or is it pretty close? Let me just double check. You have import costs too. I think Canadian was a little higher, right? So $80, you have Canadian dollars are 20% more, basically. So that means your US budget would be about 2,200 or 2,300, 2,400, but I'm not sure about how the prices of the laptops shift around. Wow, 34,000 for our graphics score. That's very nice. CPU 25268, 34702. Some very good scores there. So real quick, I'll just kind of give you my rundown of best laptops around the $2,000 price point approximately. So my go-tos would probably be the Legion 7 and Legion 7i would probably be my number one recommendation for the overall. You can get a 3060 for that price point, but that's not going to give you the most performance for your money. Like you're going to get more performance, for example, from the this ROG Strix G15 Advantage Edition. That'll give you more money. There's a link to the spreadsheet, by the way, in the description down below if anyone's curious. I have basically all the gaming laptops that have so far been released in 2021. And I did update this recently to find a bunch of new laptops. So I think just about everything is listed here. Maybe there's something missing, but pretty much everything's on this list now that I know of. So another great option for around this price point would be the Aorus 15P or the MSI GP66. So if you're playing a lot of CPU-bound games, these are going to be great choices because they do have, at least the GP66 has a mux switch. The Aorus 15P, I believe, does not, has Optimus. And let's see here, you were looking between, right here, you're saying GS66 or G14. So those are very thin and light, small laptops. So if that's what you're looking for, very portable, then, I mean, Legion 7 and 7i would be a little bit bigger, or quite a bit bigger than a G14, because G14 is like less than 4 pounds. If you're looking for something just really thin and lightweight, the Zephyrus G14. Razer Blade 14 would be another great choice. Very, very nice laptop for the money if you've got the budget for it. I'd say it's a little bit better choice than the Zephyrus G14 if you have the money for it. But the Zephyrus G14 would probably be better bang for the buck. So if you're trying to save some money, the G14 will be a little better in that respect. But it all depends on how big of a laptop you're willing to take. I think around the 5 to 5.5 pound mark, the Legion 7i would be my choice, not my number one choice. Legion 7 would be my number 2 choice probably. Those are like the top. Depends on if you like AMD or Intel, basically. And then you have the GP66 Leopard for $1899. Very better value bang for your buck than the Legion series because you're paying extra money for these because of the RGB and the premium build quality and the advanced Optimus on the 7i, for example. So, if you're looking for the most performance for your dollar, the GP66 is right up there. Legion 5 Pro would be another option to look at. Omen 15Z, if you're like trying to lower your budget lower, that's a decent choice. This Asus Strix G15, I think slots in here as well as a potential recommendation. But it just depends on what game you're playing and if this kind of chassis and size appeals to you. If you're trying to go for the G15 or G14, you're probably not looking for this kind of a build, you know? So, okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next test. We've got, let's see here. Next up would be Cinebench. So let's go ahead and get Cinebench opened up. And do Cinebench R20 first, and we'll see how this thing runs. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. There's a lot of different things to consider. But I think the number one things to consider, like the top few things to consider from buying a gaming laptop right now is, first of all, your budget, the type of games you want to play, and the size of the laptop. So if you primarily play GPU-bound games and you're more of a casual gamer, then you don't really have to focus on getting a mux switch and Advanced Optimus as much because regular Optimus will provide you like 95% of the same performance level in the vast majority of games, and therefore you should probably focus more on just like build quality, size, premium feel, and overall TDP and performance of the machine. Um, but if you're like an esports or competitive player, then you want to get a higher refresh rate display that's low response rate, and you want to get a mux and advanced optimus, and you want high CPU TDP should be a focus because that's going to be your primary limiter for CPU bound games. Um, and you probably want to go Intel if you're like a very like competitive player. You want to maximize your FPS because Intel should be a little bit better. Wow, 5411. That's some spicy performance. Oh, and some spicy temperatures. Look at that. We're hitting 95 degrees Celsius. So we are pulling right now 86 watts. But wow, that is incredible level of performance for the money. 90 watts right now. 87 watts. Down to 83 watts. How does this compare to the Scar 15 in build quality? I think the main difference between this and the Scar 15 is the keyboard. So 5198. We're gonna see how this performs as it thermal throttles because we're getting some thermal throttling here for sure. We're running it hitting that peak 95 degrees. So how does this compare to the Scar 15? So the RGB backlights on the Scar 15 are brighter. Higher quality, you also have more RGB lights on the Scar 15, like you have the underlight underneath the display. But the chassis itself is very, very similar. So the overall build quality is very similar. The feel of the keyboard is also much different because you have the optomechanical keys on the Scar 15. So I think the Scar 15 keyboard just feels a little better, but they both have a great keyboard experience. And I like the layout a lot. I love a numpad though. So no numpad is kind of a big downside. And then, yeah, but I mean, for the money though, it's truly excellent, I think. So 5224. What is my current laptop of choice? I am currently in the process, Philip, of switching from my Scar 15 to the Lenovo Legion 7i. I think that's my number one laptop right now. Like if I were to pick a single laptop out of any laptop available, that's my choice. But um, big part of that is I really love I love the keyboard and the full size numpad and the 16 by 10 aspect ratio of the Legion 7 and 7i, and then the overall build quality and the really high TDP and the advanced Optimus on the 7i. All of those things just combine together to give, I think, the best overall gaming experience along with the best build quality. But the 7i is also very hard to buy and very expensive. You're paying a large premium for the laptop. So 5290 on that run. Let's go ahead and start tracking the runs now. Just go ahead and monitor the clock speed. And I'm going to go ahead and just start capturing the average. Looks like we're getting about 4.13 gigahertz. So we're bouncing between 4.1 and 4.2 gigahertz, basically. This is extremely impressive performance overall. Like that's pretty incredible. For the money, I don't think you're going to find much better performance on, at least in Cinebench. It's obviously there's going to be lots of different things to consider here, but for example, the RAM, and this is not as fast. So if you're doing something that's CPU bound and RAM sensitive, then maybe it won't be the best bang for the buck overall. But you can always upgrade the RAM later on if you need to, because the RAM is not that expensive to upgrade, which is nice, and it's pretty easy to take the bottom off this laptop. 5190 for our first run. kind of monitor our TDP. Looks like we're pulling like 83, 81 watts, 82. Really great wattage usage here, utilization, but we are seeing that temperature go right up to that 95 mark. I it it doesn't say whether it's thermal throttling, but I'm pretty sure it's set to thermal throttle at 95. But and our clock speed has dropped just a little bit, not much. 4.08 gigahertz average right now. 5106 for that run. All right, Britt, have a good night, man. Low score on stock RAM. I have 5200 and R20 on an i7 1100 with good RAM. Is the RX6800M better than the RTX 3070 mobile in all aspects? So Shane Fernandez, I need to do more testing to decide whether I think the 3070 is better in all aspects. But I would say on paper it's definitely not, because you do have RTX and DLSS support in many modern games that you just don't get in the Radeon series. But the thing is, an RTX 3070 is much more expensive. So on average, so you're gonna, you pay $1649 for this laptop, and pretty much the main competitors with this laptop are going to be RTX 3060 laptops instead, at least at this price point. 5254. So I think when you're comparing these, you got to be like, okay, well, a 3070 may have these extra features like RTX and DLSS, but it's also going to cost me $200-$400 more, you know. Um, so at least on average. Um, yeah, but another thing I want to mention is that this will outperform an RTX 3070 in plenty of games, especially if you replace the RAM and use an external monitor. Tablet Dragon. Hey, Brandon, I tried using a webcam as a phone as a webcam as suggested, but it got super hot even at low resolution. Having a built-in webcam is still preferable. Okay. Well, it will depend on what phone you have, right? 5285. Um, if you have one of the newer phones, well, I guess it depends on which new phone too. But like, I think if you have an iPhone, it's not a problem. If you have uh, like a, I don't know, some sort of Galaxy phone or something like that, maybe it's going to overheat. What would be your choice in the Strix ROG G17 top variant, or a Lenovo 7 top variant, or any other laptop around under $1,800? So the Legion 7 starts at 1,900, and it comes with an RTX 3060. So you're paying like a huge premium tax. So if I had a $1,800 budget, or let's just say theoretically a $1,900 budget, um, you're looking at much more performance from the Strix G15, 5295. I think that was the last run. 5295. Okay. So let's go ahead and cancel this one. So basically, my thoughts on the the Strix G17 versus uh, the Legion 7, you're going to get a lot more performance for your money with the Strix G17, and because it's $1799 with an RTX 3070 and a 5900 HX. So at least at those price points, it's much more attractive to me. But if price is not an issue, then I would say the Legion 7 would be the way to go. And of course, pricing will vary, right, over time, and supply, demand, and all of that. So uh, I think you just got to factor all of those things in when you decide what you want to do. like at the time of purchase, because maybe the Strix will go up in price, or the Legion 7 will go up in price or down in price. What is the best laptop around the same budget for Blender? I'm not sure which is the best for Blender. Got a pretty average phone here, Samsung M31 from 2020. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure about that phone, Tappy the Dragon. It'll just depend on which phone you have, though, in terms of if you can use it for your webcam. Plus, some phones just don't have that good cameras compared to, like especially budget phones don't have very good cameras. Um, just tuned in. Have you replaced the RAM modules? No, we are not. We have not replaced the RAM module. Everything is stock for these benchmarks. My old i7 6700 hit 90 plus for years, no problem, still running if I need it. The problem is exaggerated. Oh, the temperatures being over 90 degrees is they are pretty exaggerated probably. My 4800H cranks up to 95 degrees Celsius in tests and near 90 in gaming. Would this hamper the life of it in any way? For some reason, this gen all CPUs hit those temps, but nobody complains. So, Prantham Dave, you know, in past years, it was considered dangerous for laptops and for desktops, whatever tech, to be hitting those kind of temperatures. A big push for laptops these years, the last couple of years, has been basically the increased performance by making them safer to run at higher temperatures, like increasing the resilience of the processor, basically. So I think it's important when you're considering like past advice versus current gen advice is the recommendations of the actual manufacturers. Yeah, basically, I think in the past, some Intel CPUs, for example, would hard throttle if they got to like the 100 degrees Celsius mark. It would just like lock down the CPU and make it drop down to like base clocks and stuff like that. Like I think that was like with Intel 7th or 8th gen. And that could be a real problem for performance because that could cause some hardcore stuttering. But like the latest Intel 10th and 11th gen, it can hit 95 to 100 degrees Celsius all day and not cause stuttering in games that I've seen so far. Same for the AMD CPUs, the Ryzen CPUs. So, is that going to be a problem in the future? As far as I know, no. As far as I know, it's not going to be like a problem. But if it's something that you're really concerned about, I would just encourage people to get an extended warranty. But as far as I know, it's not going to. It's the biggest problem, in my opinion, with thermal throttling of like 95, 100 degrees Celsius is that as your CPU paste ages, it's just going to consistently lower the performance a little bit because you're hitting the thermal limit. Like if you were hitting 4.1 gigahertz and hitting the thermal limit, like we are on this machine right now, we're hitting basically 4.1 gigahertz, and then we're hitting the thermal limit. 95 degrees, we're just riding that thermal limit right there. As the liquid metal in this ages, it's going to slowly get less efficient, which means that we're going to hit the thermal limit a little bit harder as the years go on, and it's going to reduce the clock speed over time. So, like say 3-4 years from now, we may be only hitting 3.8 or 3.9 gigahertz instead of 4.1. It just depends on how big of a difference it makes. But the tests I saw on liquid metal, the last test I saw from Gamers Nexus, I believe it was like a 3 or 4 degrees Celsius drop in liquid metal after like a 2-year span of time. I didn't think that's what I remember. So not a huge drop, but it will vary depending on what thermal paste you have because some gets drastically worse than others. And if you want to fix that, I do recommend typically every 2 to 3 years to repaste your CPU and GPU if you can, or hire someone to do it. Is this laptop better than the MSI GP66 Leopard? George, I think it's going to be better in some ways and worse in others. I think the GP66 is going to be better at CPU-bound games because it has the MUX switch. It's also going to cost more. And the CPU performance will be in a similar ballpark, but it just depends. Prantham Dave says, cool, appreciate the detailed response. On a follow-up, how would the temps be for the very motherboard itself. Is that something to be on the lookout for as well? So at the same time that these Intel and AMD have like basically designed the chips to run at these peak thermal limits, um, the manufacturers are also supposed to be beefing up the motherboard to handle the increased temperatures, so improving the VRMs and um, the voltage regulation modules, basically, because oftentimes those are the thing to fail first, actually. So, in some manufacturers like Alienware, like Boast, they talk about it, the VRMs on the product pages for the Alienware laptops, for example. They'll be like, we have a 12-phase VRM setup. So basically, there's different phases, and the more phases you have, typically, it's the better it is. But it just depends. But the quality of it's the most important thing, and whether it can actually handle the amount of voltage going through consistently for long periods of time and safely. That's what's going to determine whether the CPU is going to be able to hold that um, the kind of temperatures, and you have to have VRMs that can handle it, and then you also have to have um, you have to have the CPU that can handle it as well. So what is the best gaming performance laptop if money is not an issue? For me, it's the Legion 7i. Um, it's the Legion 7i. I think is my number one choice overall. Um, if money is not an issue. That said, if you're willing to get like, I think the Legion 7i is the best blend of um, CPU performance, GPU performance in a moderately portable package. If you're looking for something that is beefier, thicker, you don't mind carrying something heavier and bigger, like 8 pounds or whatever, there are other options to consider um, that have like desktop CPUs. Like there's a Clevo chassis. There's other options to consider as well if you don't necessarily want the highest power GPU, like the Asus Zephyrus S17 is also an interesting choice. Gamer on us, which laptop should I buy? X17 7i or GE76 11UH? The size isn't an issue and only performance matters. I think the Legion 7i has the best overall performance. Um, Game erroneous, but make sure you get the 32 gig RAM if you're after the most performance, or buy yourself some third-party RAM. Is it bad if I have a single 16 gig RAM stick? Yeah, I would say avoid single channel. You want dual channel because that'll improve. That's like basically assumed these days. You always want dual channel, so that means two sticks running together because it's much more efficient. You'll not be CPU bound nearly as much. Best laptop under 2,500 US. So we've got a couple minutes here. Let's hop back over to the sheet. Okay, so around the $2,500 US, I think you're probably looking at my recommendation under 2,500 would probably be, I think, a Legion 7i, I believe, or an MSI GP66 Leopard with a 3080. That'd be another good option. Um, what else? Potentially an RTX 3080 Aorus 15G if you want something a little bit more portable and smaller. But let's see. I think we can get the 3070. So we have to upgrade the 1 TB SSD, and then we go to here. We go to 3070. So yeah, so 2109 for the RTX 3070 with an i7 11800H for the Legion 7i. This is probably my number one pick under 2500. You could probably also upgrade the RAM at the same time, so you get the faster RAM, so you don't have to worry about upgrading that. So 2219. This is probably going to be close to the best bang for the buck, or not best bang for the buck, but the best all-around package, I think. And then you also have, and there are links to all of these right here on this spreadsheet, link in the description as well. But so that'd probably be my number one pick. You get a great display, advanced Optimus. Um, it's just a great. I really like the overall build quality and feel of the Legion 7i. So, um, But the Aorus 15G is another option. I think, was it on sale? I think it was. Oh, I think it came off sale. Let's see if I can find the 15G. Show you that real quick. This should be a 3080 version. So this one is been on sale for like $1,900, but oh, it's out of stock right now. So, um, but this one's just a great bang for the buck. You get 32 gigs of RAM, 1 TB SSD, 240 hertz display. I actually have this laptop upstairs. I really have liked using it. I love the keyboard. The overall build quality feels very tight. And it was for only I think $1,900 or $1,870 was on sale for a week or two ago. So, um, just really good bang for the buck on that one. Okay, looks like we're just finished. Okay, so 13,549. Very good score. Once again, 15,549. We're going to go ahead and do 10-minute test. All right, single core. Looks like we averaged a little over 4 gigahertz, around 4.1 gigahertz during that time as well. So on our single core that it's being utilized, it's 4.5 gigahertz, it looks like. 4.55 gigahertz, actually. And it's jumping from core to core, it looks like. Kind of smart, actually, if it switches between the cores as it does renders. Because then it doesn't thermal throttle ever on any one core, but it's probably not going to thermal throttle anyway. But can we underclock this laptop's CPU and GPU? So you can't underclock or undervolt. I believe you said underclock. As far as I know, we cannot manually set the clock speed for the CPU. You might be able to use Afterburner to reduce the clock speed of the GPU. Probably can. But one way you can do to basically underclock it would be to power limit the CPU in the Armory crate. And it would basically just say run up to 60 watts of power, don't go higher than that, and then your temperature will go down at the same time since it's using less power. The temperature will go down, but the performance will go down. The clock speed will go down as well. Will there ever be any undervolting feature on the 4000, 5000 Ryzen CPUs? I don't think so, Prantham. Go for the Legion 5 Pro. That's another good option. The Legion 5 Pro is something I haven't been talking about very much, but it's another great option. I just forget about it sometimes. But that laptop's also extremely sold out as well. So finding it in stock can be a challenge. The Legion 5 Pro is almost the exact same as the Legion 7 and 7i, just less premium features, basically. Yeah, did I say 15,000? I meant 13,500. 13,549 for Cinebench R23. Did I say 15? Someone else said 15 earlier, so I was confused why they said 15. Yeah, 13,549 for Cinebench R23. Did I mistype it? Is that what happened? I mistyped it. Okay. Yeah, 13,000. I swear I said it right, but I mistyped it. Okay, cool. Yeah. Gonna get the Legion 5 this coming week. Thanks, Gizmo, man. Yeah, I think the Legion 5 is kind of like the more budget-oriented choice. I think the tricky part about the Legion 5 and 5 Pro is that because of its popularity and the fact that it's constantly sold out, Lenovo is like, hey, we can charge a lot extra for it, right? And then they're like, basically charged a lot extra. And then it no longer became that great of a bang for the buck. It was still like a good all-around laptop, but when the price goes up, it no longer becomes like the fantastic, amazing deal that it was when someone reviewed it. So, uh, whenever you're looking at any of these laptops, you always got to look at like what's the laptop actually going for, because sometimes even the manufacturer's price goes up. Tut tut, what is the best budget laptop? You're gonna have to give me a price point because I'm not sure what is the like. What's your budget? What do you consider a budget laptop? Under $600? Under 1,000? 1,200? Dear O says, can we unlock the BIOS of this G15? You may be able to, Dear O. I'm not sure. I've not heard of anyone doing it though, but I'm not discounting the possibility. I like the Zephyrus G15. I just want to know what AAA games I can at 1440p. So Aaron Shetty, I would say take a look at my Zephyrus G15 review. I talk about and show a bunch of different games in that. Should help give you a better idea of the performance you can expect in QHD. But if you get the 3070 version of the Zephyrus G15, you should be able to play most games pretty well at QHD. Best laptop around 1800. Probably my pick would be the GP66 for, I think that's 1899 though, or the Aorus 15G 3080. That'd be my second pick probably. hmm Mm. Legion 5 Pro, another great pick. There's so many good laptops around that price point. Strix G15, Strix G17, also great choices, but it all depends on what games you play. Am I going to review the Acer Predator Helios 500? I don't have any plans to at the moment. I do have a contact at Acer. I could ask them, but I'm pretty backed up with lots of laptops to review right now. On the off topic, any way to judge how good a laptop hinges? So when you're looking at laptop hinges, I would the biggest cause for failure recently has been um, manufacturers that use glue to adhere the hinge to the screen. And basically, if the glue is not good enough, then it falls apart eventually over time. The glue separates. MSI is probably the biggest one that's been known to have this problem. Um, Particularly like 4 years ago, laptops sold about 4 years ago, they had this problem. I believe now they use screws instead of glue, but it may depend on which laptop you're buying. So, yeah. Asus G15 Advantage Edition or Asus Zephyrus G15? Um, I would get the Advantage Edition if it was my money. Unless you need something more portable, then the Zephyrus G15. You know, the G15 is a little more thin. You got a QHD display. There's some advantages to the Zephyrus choice, choosing the Zephyrus instead. How long do generic laptop batteries last with moderate use? So if you keep your laptop topped off at 100% nonstop, if you keep your laptop like topped at 100%, the battery quality of the will degrade much more quickly. So in like the Asus Armory Crate or my Asus, you can set it to be like to charge only to 60 or 80%. If you set it to charge to 60%, I would expect the battery to last more like 10 years. If you set it to go to 80%, I would expect the battery to last more like 5 to 7 years. And if you go to 100%, I would expect the battery to maintain its quality for about 2 to 3 years at close to peak quality, and then it'll need to be replaced. So that's why I would, in general, recommend setting it to 60 or 80%. unless you know you're going to be traveling, going on a trip, then set it to 100%. Did Asus fix the liquid metal issue? It does seem like the most recent batch, it's been good. 1490 for our single core. That's a very good single core score. Not as good as Intel, what Intel's doing these days, but it's still very good. Okay, cool. Time to get into some games now. First up, we have Warzone. I was also playing Warzone on this, and it was, I think it was doing around 85 to 120 FPS, depending on what area of the map I was on. So overall good, but it could definitely be better on an external monitor and upgraded RAM. Probably 20 to 30 FPS better. Finally picked up the Legion 5 Pro with 3070 in India. Cost me around $1,700 USD, but comes with 3-year warranty and Office 2019 included. Was the first one to get it in my state. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I can imagine in certain countries it can be pretty hard to get the sold out laptops. So, can you bypass NVIDIA Optimus in laptops that don't have a mux switch? Yes, with an external monitor. Which I won't be testing today, but for my review of this, I will test at least a couple games with an external monitor. And you have to plug the external monitor into the correct display out as well. You got, I think like these Asus laptops, the HDMI always connects to the integrated GPU, and has the Optimus bottleneck, but like usually the USB-C port connects directly to the GPU. I don't want to upgrade from my RTX 2070 laptop until a laptop comes out with the 2x GPU performance. Do you think the 4080 will 2x the 2070? Well, I think the thing you have to keep in mind, systems reality, is that you have to keep in mind, basically, a lot of the games these days are CPU and memory bound. So even if you have an RTX 4080 for Warzone, you're never going to get 2x the performance, even on like a 5080 or 6080, given our current CPUs, because in large portions of this game, we are CPU bound. So it doesn't matter how much more powerful the GPU is until we get better CPUs and faster memory. So that's where you just got to balance expectations with reality there. And I think for GPU bound games, a high watt 3080 is probably 50% faster than a 2070. So, but for CPU bound games, you're only probably looking at a 25 to 30% performance uplift. I don't know. Because probably about 10 to 15% performance uplift per generation upgrade. It widely will vary depending on what game you're playing and what CPU you end up getting. Yo, Gizmo, what is the size of this game right now? It's 80 gigs, I think. I just want 60 FPS in Cyberpunk at 4K ultra ray tracing. You can almost get that already, systems reality, with a 3080 if you have DLSS set to like performance probably, which is basically upsampling from 1080. You can undervolt the 4000 and 5000 series by using Ryzen controller. Um, I I tried doing that, Dero, and it didn't work for me. But if you've seen that and you've got a tutorial, you've seen a tutorial on that, then I would be curious. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just throttling, not undervolting, because there's a difference. Because undervolting, you can maintain the existing clock speed, where if you just reduce the power limit or turn off hyperthreading, then you're just basically limiting the CPU's performance. Whereas like Intel undervolting, you're maintaining the same level of performance, oftentimes getting even better performance, but just much better temperatures with undervolting. Systems reality, I want that on quality DLSS. Okay. If you want that on quality DLSS, then yeah, you won't be able to do that on 3080. That said, I think balanced and performance DLSS is still really, really good. Okay. Do we lose Afterburner? Why don't we have Afterburner? Well, I can't tell what FPS we're getting. Might have to restart the game. Says go kill some people. I'll kill one more person, and then we'll back out. See if we can get this Afterburner working. We will do a solos match in Warzone as well. This is just the training mode. I just need to get Afterburner working first. Okay. I want to see the temps. Yeah, me too. When is the benchmark comparison of those videos of the three highest performance laptops coming? Just asking. So I have to do the Legion 7i detailed benchmarks first, and then I can put them all on the same chart because that's I already have the benchmarks done for the X17 and the GE76. For the Legion 7i, I did like half the benchmarks on my own without doing it on the live stream, but still have to finish testing all the other games to get the final numbers. Okay, so for some reason Afterburner is not loading. Let's try restarting the game. Imagine getting 60 FPS in 4K in Minecraft. The dream. What? Oh my god. Roman, I'm just gonna keep asking. Did they fix the liquid metal issues? Yeah, I did respond to you earlier, Roman. Um, I believe on the first batch of laptops that shipped, they had common liquid metal issues. On the later batches, they did not. Um, it seems like more users are just having a good time with the laptop without having any liquid metal issues. I have not personally had any problems with the liquid metal on my unit, as far as I know so far. It's been performing as expected, like normally, you know. So, oh, you know what? I did reinstall this, so maybe this is the problem. Um, and maybe in Afterburner, we need to reset up our overlay settings. No, this is all checked. Benchmark. Um, okay. I really wanted to display. It should be displaying now, I believe, but it is not. Ah. Hmm. Let's try another game. See if we have the same problem in any of these other games. Because if it's not working in general, maybe we just need to revert our Afterburner back to the other version that we were running before. So what is the next game on the list that we can test? Um, Apex Legends. Survival Builder, am I Shadowban? No. What's the issue of the liquid metal? So, during the first batch of laptops that were shipped with this Strix G15 Advantage Edition, some of the laptops just failed soon after purchase um, because the liquid metals basically leaked out. It was a bad application of liquid metal. Um, I don't know what percentage of the people that had laptops that fail. I think it was a small percentage, but if 20 people have a laptop that fail, they're all going to go on there and be like, "Don't buy this laptop," so negative. Hey, the overlay is working in this game. I didn't change anything. So I don't know why Warzone is not the overlay's not working in Warzone, but hmm. Can a slow HDD cause stutter? Games tend to stutter on my 5400 RPM. Yeah, it depends on the game. If the game needs to pull resources off of the SSD, it can cause stuttering. So thanks for the help. Really appreciate it. One last question. Could you tell me uh, why the Legion i5 Pro is so good, please? Not sure what your question is exactly, but uh, the Legion 5i should be a good laptop as well. The Intel version of the Legion 5 Pro. Okay, there we go. We're getting some stuttering. Oh, it looks like we're actually lagging in the game. So this looks like the internet is going out or something. Weird. But that is weird. Let's see here. See if I can. Looks like the GPU here is dropping. That was really weird. Hmm. I don't know. All right, let's just go ahead and go video. Disable, disable. Let's set everything to low. I wonder. I mean, we're not pulling that many wattage through the system right now. Like something is. This is. I can't help but feel like this is a driver related issue that we're running into right now. So right now we're set to manual mode. We're set everything to max. Um, I can't help but smell like this. By the way, just so you guys know, the liquid metal issue that affected most of the first batch of the Asus Strix G15 Advantage Edition. This is from the first batch as well. So it would be hilarious if the GPU shorted on us in the middle of benchmarking. But I was just kind of smelling a little bit of like kind of baking plasticky smell. Not very heavily, just a very subtle hint of it. And I wasn't sure if it was a laptop or if it's my camera. Oh, my camera is really hot, and I'm right next to my camera, so I'm probably just smelling my camera. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, my camera may be overheating. Um, okay. Well, right now, let's just go ahead and do a quick little test. Looks like as it is right now, we're getting 102.68, which is not that amazing. We're in full screen, native. Makes me wonder if is it possible we're running on the I don't think so. I don't think the integrated GPU could pull this. Okay, now we're doing 200. Okay, that's a lot better. I'm like, why aren't we pulling like at least 150? Like we should be pulling at least 150 here. Okay. 227, that's better. And also look at our wattage. Our wattage is coming up much higher now. And our temperature on our GPU is going up to 68 degrees. So all of this is much more what we were expecting. How are you able to see through the chunky camera? LOL. I'm just looking right over the top of it. Scar 17 3070 or Scar 15 3080. The 3080 should give you more performance. Okay, so 230 170 is the Apex Legends training benchmark. 231 173. Okay, and then we're going to go to trios. So obviously that's very good performance right there. Let's see how we actually perform in a match. What is the best budget gaming laptop around $1,100? Since I want to know if the Acer Nitro 5 5800H 3060 was a good buy for me. That's a reasonable buy. Where did you buy it? It's Ace Boy. I mean, around $1,100, you ideally want to get a 3060. Your competition around that price point would probably be the Legion 5, but that's only a 3050 Ti. The GF65, which is a low wattage 3060. The Omen 15T and the Omen 15Z are going to be a little bit more than that, but in the similar ballpark. We go Gibby. I bought it from a local shop. Oh, okay. I mean, that should be a pretty reasonable choice. The Acer Nitro 5, if you got it for 1100. But I would say just compare it to some other laptops around that price point in the overall performance. We will check. We will go back to Warzone. Now we are getting some of this random stutter. It's almost like the game is like loading in. I wonder if this has something to do with. I want to relinquish control and launch solo. I need to launch solo. See, we are getting this random, weird, weird little stutteriness going on, and this is kind of like the downside, I think, of going AMD because the drivers can be an issue sometimes. Oh no, my teammates landed on the ground. uh, not all games are going to have issues, but some will. Oh god. I mean, this is playing good now. Oh, I ran out of ammo. Why is the GPU fluctuating so much? I don't know, but I think that's the cause of the stuttering. It's obviously playing smooth now as we got in here, so I'm wondering if it has to do with what's it called? Is it a resizable bar? I wonder if it has something to do with resizable bar support causing like the stutter. But it's almost like it's loading in the map or something, and then once the whole map is loaded in, the stutter is gone. So I'm curious. Let's go ahead and just do an average while we watch the teammate play here. And when we were actually aiming and fighting, it wasn't stuttering at all. So I'm going to the Scar 15 reviews to see differences. Can you adjust pre-rendered frames? Like, I don't think it has to do with pre-rendered frames. I think it has to do with like things loading in, stuttering because of that. Come on, team. Oh boy. This guy is suiciding. Okay, so we're averaging about 176, 123. That's still very, very good performance. I just wish we could figure out what's going on with the stutter. during that whole time after we landed, there basically wasn't any stuttering. But just during the initial drop in, it was like that odd stutter. Why is the CPU using 150 watts? I believe that's total system draw, not just that one CPU. Let's try Warzone again. Or maybe AMD Smart Shift problem? Potentially, yeah, that could be. Maybe is just deprioritizing the GPU or something. Because it looked like basically the GPU wattage was dropping down very low for a little while. Like it wasn't maintaining a high TDP. It was kind of like so. I'm guessing it's a driver issue that'll get ironed out. Um, Most likely, that would be my best guess currently. Does NVIDIA still have advantage over this with Oculus Link due to video encoding? I'm not sure, Papa 3. I have not tried using my Quest 2 with this laptop. So um, I'm actually kind of curious to try it, but I think that would have to be a different stream. Uh, did I switch out the RAM? No, this is the stock. Everything's stock. Okay, so it looks like we may not get. Looks like we may not get the overlay to work for some reason. The overlay was working on the previous version of Afterburner. Um, Let me see. Is there some way we can get the FPS to pull up? Display FPS in Warzone. Options, general, telemetry, enable FPS counter. So general, telemetry, FPS counter, enable. Okay, so in the left up here, we can see the FPS. That's probably the best we're gonna be able to do for right now. Which kind of sucks. I'd much prefer to have the temperatures and wattage and all of that up there. They made a new anti-cheat for Warzone. I think it doesn't allow MSI Afterburner. That sounds like the problem. I would imagine that is a conflict. So I'll let's see here. Let me make sure this FPS counter here in the top left is in view. Right now we're doing 140, 123, 179, 130, 150, 170, 170, 180. Okay, I can put more things like temp, clock speed, and more in the settings. Okay, let me see. Um, General, telemetry, server latency, packet loss, GPU temperature, GPU time, CPU time. Okay. All right. Well, we've got the the GPU temperature is NA. The GPU time is 4 ms. Okay, so but at least we're gonna be able to get a ballpark FPS number here, which is kind of the main thing I was looking for this section, at least, and then we can get a rough estimate of the FPS in the different zones of the game. Okay, so I'll just read out the FPS for a little while. 145, 143, 146, 143, 144, 145, 140, 142, 144, 145, 143, 144. So I'm gonna go 143 for our rating here. We don't know what the 1% low is, but 143 is very good. Is very good actually for this section. Let's go ahead and go kill a couple people. And then we'll hop into a solos match. This is not a full auto. Interesting. This weapon's almost out of ammo. Okay, so we're doing 135, 141, 142. What are the screen options for this laptop? They only offer a full HD 300 hertz display as far as I am aware at this time. I've not heard of any other screen options. So we're doing 142, 143. Very good FPS performance despite we don't even have a mux switch or advanced Optimus. This is very good. We'll have to see what the FPS is like in the regular mode. But I'm sure it'll still be at least decent. CPU bound sections will be the biggest concern. A couple people fighting over here I see on the radar. Oh yeah, this is buttery smooth. 150 FPS right now. 154, 155, 158. Again, this is the training mode, and it's this area of the map basically. This is basically the performance you can expect in this area of the map. That's the key, because just different areas of the map are more CPU or GPU bound, and I think this is a more GPU bound section. Huh? 150, 153. 138, 145. It's great that the lowest I've seen is 135. And I gotta say, this is playing extremely responsively and fluidly with like no stuttering, pretty much. Like in terms of like the visuals, what I'm seeing. Like that, the most important time you don't want stutter is when you're aiming down sights and having to correct, and you can see that I'm able to control the recoil and correct perfectly. Okay. Let's get into a match. And that display is pretty nice if it's the same as on the Scar. Yeah, this is a good display. I didn't do the display test, but I'm pretty sure this is over 300 nits and a very low response time. So what is the best budget laptop for around $1,100 to $1,200 range, not including Legion 5 or Omen 15? Not including those two? Um, honestly, if it was my money and I had $1,100, I would probably try to either get an open boxed item for like a $1,200 to $1,300 laptop that's marked down towards 1,100, or buy a slightly used. Try to find a slightly used version of a 3060 laptop. Um, like, and honestly, right now the $1,100 to $1,200 price point laptops just really are not that attractive. Let's see here. I'll show you this list real quick. The Omen 15Z would probably be my choice right here. This is the Ryzen 5 5600H. I know you said not the Omen 15, but 15Z. You get a 6-core CPU, RTX 3060, up to 100 watts, good display, fairly premium package, all for 1119. I mean, I think that's really hard to beat. But if I had to pick another laptop, this Walmart Asus Strix G15 Ryzen 9 5900HX RTX 3060. This one's $12.99. This would be worth saving for. Save another $100. It'd be worth the upgrade. Okay, here we are. So we're on an actual match now. I'll just read out the FPS here. 105, 120, 120, 121, 115, 119, 117, and 115. Well, I'm getting hit. So definitely a little bit lower FPS than the training zone, but still over 100. Averaging looks like about 118, 115, 120 in that ballpark, at least for that area of the map. The cities here, this is where you're like gonna run into more of the bottlenecks, I think. Would 300 nits be the minimum for you? Yeah, I'd recommend 300 or more if you want to have a good, comfortable gaming experience inside the vast majority of buildings and indoor lighting. What would you suggest to someone who's looking for their first gaming laptop? Um, I would suggest first you got to decide what your budget is, and then you got to decide what size of a laptop you want to actually use. So go into some store like Best Buy and just like look at a bunch of the laptops in person and be like, okay, I want a laptop this big. Like I want to decide if you want a keypad, number pad, don't need a number pad, whatever. Pick the things that will meet your needs, and then um, just basically decide your budget. See if I can find a gun here, and then I'll do the test. I don't see a gun. Okay, we're doing 105 FPS right now. 106, 103, 108, 109. This is a very CPU bound section of the game. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start this. And I'm just going to zoom in so you guys can see the FPS a little bit better. And okay, here we go. So 95, 94, 94, 92, 95, 96. We're getting shot. 90. This is going to invalidate the test anyway. But so we're doing about 95. Or so. I remember there was a gun over here, so I was like, let's get this gun instead. Oh. Oh, it's that stupid skin that's all black. Okay, this is very good. Um, very good performance overall. Like doing what was it, 103 in this? That's exceptionally good, actually. Um, very impressed. What's the perfect balance of hertz and HD quality? I personally really like QHD 240 hertz as I think the best balance of everything, on the really high end prices at least. Obviously, if you have a smaller budget, you're not going to be able to go that high. And then in that case, I would say you want probably at least 144 hertz full HD, if not 240. Like 165 is good too. 240 is like ideal. I think 240 and up is the best though. Like if I could pick, I would ideally want 240 at least. So we're doing 130, 129, 128. Okay, I'm gonna focus on playing now. Got him. Okay. Let me reposition this back down. So you can see this laptop is handling Warzone really well. Let's deploy. Let's refocus. Cool. 115, 120, 121, 127, 123, 123, 115, 111, 114. Yeah, so I mean, this is playing this game pretty much as well as like my Scar 15. My Scar 15 does like right around this similar performance, maybe a little bit more, maybe like 5 to 10 more. And I have a 3080 5900 HX. Is QHD noticeable in a 15-inch? Um, it is if you have really good eyesight. It isn't if you don't. Um, it depends. It depends on how sensitive. I think 14 inches, I think it's pretty much not noticeable. But if you go to 15 inches, that's where it's kind of noticeable. It depends. Man, these sites kind of suck. Hey, better site? All right, I'll take it. Oh, oh no. What would you consider good FPS for gaming laptop like Call of Duty, Apex, Fortnite? Um, in Warzone, I think anything over 100 is very good for most laptops. And I think the fact that we're getting, I mean, clearly we were averaging basically 100 and like the lowest I was seeing was about 105. So I think this laptop's going to be great. This laptop's going to be a great budget Warzone performer, and I would anticipate that if you upgraded the RAM and used an external monitor, you'd probably see an uplift of like 10 to 15 more FPS. So you're going to see probably like 120 to 130 FPS most of the time in the more in most of the places. So that I mean that's I think exceptionally good performance for the price. Let me go ahead and put that into. I'm going to put 105 for Warzone solos because that was basically the CPU bound area running down the section of the map there. Um, or was I getting 95? Arma 3, no benchmark. What? I don't think that many people want. This laptop with upgraded RAM would kill in this benchmark. Yeah, I think the upgraded RAM would really help boost the performance in those games in particular. Okay. Next up, we have Fortnite. Fortnite, and then Watch Dogs Legion. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure my camera is making the smell. I keep smelling like warm. I don't think my camera is very hot. I don't know why. It's never really gotten this hot in the past live streams. So I think there may be some camera setting that we've changed or something. Feels like it's trying to process a higher resolution or something. I don't know. Oh, I think we did change it so that it's streaming in 4K instead of 1080. Um, through the HDMI to the laptop. So maybe that's the issue. Thanks for doing these, mate. Very helpful. No problem. Um, Acrid smell? No, it's like a slightly, like when plastic warms up, basically. That kind of a smell. But I don't think it's the laptop. I think it's the camera because like the camera is like very hot, like really hot to the touch, which it normally is not. So, and when I go down and sniff by the laptop, I don't smell it at all. So, and my nose is like right here by the the camera. Okay, so I have set this to DX12. Everything is set to low, except for view distance, which is set to epic. And then we're full screen, unlimited frame rate, and let's try some solos. Jordan Charles, I'm a noob, so when it comes to PC gaming and it's weird, I can type pretty fast, but when it comes to moving a character on a keyboard, my mind goes blank and the keyboard is like gibberish. Yeah, it takes time to adjust to it. What laptops would you recommend around the $1,500 price point? Um, so this laptop is certainly a great choice, I think, for around $1,500, especially if you upgrade the RAM. Um, just really high value. We got the Strix G15, the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro. You've got the Aorus 15 PNG around there, around that price point. You might be able to get an RTX 3070 Omen 15Z for around 1,500. Um, if you're curious which ones I recommend taking a look at this sheet. This sheet has a whole bunch of recommendations, and you can see which ones I recommend around the $1,500 price point here. So that'd be my recommendation. Okay, so once again, getting a bit of stutter because this does this on pretty much every laptop in Fortnite because Fortnite's not optimized. As ever, all the players load in, like each time a player loads in, it's like a stutter. Okay, so we're getting 230 FPS on the bus. I imagine we're gonna get some more stutters like we did in Apex. But I bet once we get to the ground, it won't be stuttering anymore. I'm thinking it's a resizable bar, or I don't know. That's my guess. There's probably some BIOS setting you can enable or disable to avoid that. I've also noticed that when you change it from like DX11 or 12 or whatever, sometimes that can affect random stutters. Okay, so let's go and see what our averages are. We're doing 220 right now. 200. Obviously very good performance right now. There was a player that landed over here. So there should be a player for me to kill somewhere here. Yes, so that was really close. Okay, let's grab these minis. Hope no one attacks us right away. Oh god! No! Okay, so we averaged 209. We did have a couple stutters that brought our minimum FPS a bit lower. Um, but overall, still a very good experience. Though, I mean, I would say it's a good experience. Some of the stutters happened right as the Superman guy came around the corner, and I think that made it a little bit harder to aim. So, not ideal. I'll mention. I do want to point that out. But yeah, Fortnite can be one of these games that can have some stuttering. I think having a mux switch and advanced Optimus, a mux switch or advanced Optimus, or in this case using an external monitor and upgrading the RAM, I would anticipate closer to 300 or more FPS in this game, and probably with less stuttering. Also, whatever issue is causing the little stutters in Apex Legends or this one, um, it'll likely be fixed in some kind of driver update or some BIOS setting like resizable bar. It's just annoying that we're having to deal with it in the first place, though. Why does Superman need weapons? Right? He should be able to just blow everyone up with his laser eyes, right? Okay, so there's Fortnite. Um, I would anticipate you could definitely get some better performance in Fortnite with an external monitor. Basically, for sure. Let's go ahead and do Watch Dogs Legion. Bathlong 188. Hi there. Thank you very much for making the comparison spreadsheet. I've been shopping for a new laptop. Should I wait for the 1600M to be available in the Legion lineups? Or Legion 5 Pro 3070 over this? Legion 5 Pro 3070 could be a great choice depending on how much you can buy it for and availability. So I think you just got to make the decision. Which one? It's a server issue. Oh, maybe it's a server desync causing the stutter. I don't know. Will I ever review the Nitro 5? Um, I have reviewed the Acer Nitro 5 with the past gen tech. I just haven't done this year's. And in general, the Nitro 5 is like kind of a budget chassis, I would say. And I'm not sure exactly how they're doing the TDPs and the temperatures and thermals like that on it this year. So GP66 with 3080 or this for better performance. The GP66 with 3080 will definitely outperform this laptop in the majority of things because it has a mux switch, better RAM, and it's an Intel 11th gen processor. So, but it will cost you $650 more. And the performance of this, I think, is better bang for the buck. Definitely. It's just, but the GP66 performance definitely will be a bit better, I think. A little bit better. What do I think of this ROG versus the X17? I mean, the X17 is like a whole different category of laptop. It's much more expensive. It's definitely more premium on the keyboard and overall build quality. Like the X17 would definitely be a step up overall. And the X17, it's a 17-inch chassis and it weighs more. So I mean, this is much more portable. There's a lot of differences. It's kind of a weird one to compare with. Fortnite just has a lot of problems. Yeah, a lot of optimization issues. Um, but I think you could definitely probably like tweak Fortnite a little bit better. Using say an external monitor, upgraded RAM, and definitely see a big performance uplift. But most likely, you're still going to get those random stutters on even the best tech. Al13 326 says, I would like to buy this laptop, but the trends of stripping the 2.5-inch drive bay in favor of a larger length battery and offering only 2 storage solutions instead of 3 makes me sick. Gotcha. I'm the kind of person that used to run 4 total SSDs on my laptop. I would run a 2.5-inch drive and 3 M.2 drives in my Aorus 17. So I feel your pain, man. But the nice thing is the new M.2 drives can go be really big. I got two 8 terabyte now in my drive, or in my Scar 15. So even though there's only 2 strips, it's still you can get pretty big, but they're very expensive compared to the 2.5-inch drives now. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the benchmark. Full screen, 1600M. Cool. Now we are going to do Ultra, and we're just going to turn RTX off and leave everything else. So this is basically going to be Ultra with RTX off. It's the only benchmark that I'll be able to do on this one. I guess we could try with RTX on, but I think the Radeon GPU is just not going to perform well. I'm actually curious. Let's try it. How much FPS can we expect? I don't even know if it's compatible, really, actually. We'll see. How much FPS can we expect on Call of Duty Warzone and Ultra settings? Arvin Dahaka, I didn't do Ultra settings. I just did the lower settings. You're going to see, from my experience in Warzone, you see like around a 15 to 20% decrease in performance when you go to higher level settings. So right now we're averaging 52, 51, 49. Is the performance and build worth the extra dollars on those higher end laptops? Paul, Luna, I would say that if you have the money and you're not on a tight budget, um, getting a more premium RTX 3070 um, is I think a worthy upgrade. Like let's say a 2000 or $2,100 laptop could be really worth it. Just depends though. So far, great laptop, but can it run Minecraft with ray tracing? This laptop's only $1,400 open box right now. I'm going to buy it for sure. Oh, nice. That'd be a great deal if you can get an open box $1,400 for this machine. They had this laptop on sale, by the way, for $1,500 like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Our flat says, I'm poor. What are the chances of these kinds of laptops going on big discount for Black Friday or Cyber Monday? Not a big discount, but you're going to get a moderate discount. Average FPS is 53. 1% low is 30. So 53.30 is very, that's pretty good, I think. Um, that's almost for sure that I think that's better. I think that's better than a 3060. And that's around what some 3070s do. Um, Maybe even some of the low TDP 3080s would do that. But let's see. Let's try. Let's try turning on RTX. We cannot enable DLSS. We can turn on ray tracing, but we cannot enable DLSS. I imagine this is going to be very low performance, especially since we have ray tracing without DLSS. And I do not see any Fidelity FX options in there. Are Newegg open box laptops okay? Yeah, I believe so. Papa 3, I think they're not a terrible choice. Okay, so let's see what we get. 30 FPS? Wow, this is actually almost playable. I'm actually kind of surprised. Um, hmm, Interesting. Very interesting. Huh. Anyway, so our Newegg open box laptops. Okay, so in response to that, I would say in some ways they are better than buying the brand new laptop. Because if you buy a brand new Newegg laptop, you have to pay a restocking fee if you have to return it. And I believe the open box items, because you bought it open box, I think they're more lenient on if you open it because it was already opened by someone else. So if you run into issues and you have to return it, that's it. If you run into issues with the new one, I think it's also a 100% refund, no restocking fee. Um, you only have to pay a restocking fee if you just don't want it and there's no problems with the laptop. Ooh, kind of got low FPS there. Went down to 18 or so for those explosions. Yeah, this is definitely not playable. You'd have to turn some settings down somewhere else if you wanted to try RTX on Ultra with this Radeon GPU. Okay. 2821. GPU is using 150 watts sometimes. Yeah, those are not going to be the correct TDPs. So just to be clear, those are not the correct. Don't look at those as a reference. I might even turn those off. So 2821. Yeah, that's actually surprising that it did so well. GP66 3080 with is 1999 over there. Yeah, Papa 3, just look at the my advice would be to look at their return policies and just double check everything in case you run into any issues. All right, next up we have Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Hey, what software do you use to see the FPS and temps? MSI Afterburner. And if you watch any of my live unboxings, you can see how I set it up. I install it and everything. Hey, this one has AMD Fidelity FX right here. Interesting. Ha 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 ha. We won't test it with it enabled, but it is there. It's one of the games that's supported. Have I tested the Razer Blade 14? I have not, but I've watched a number of detailed reviews on it, and the Razer Blade 14 is a very impressive thin laptop. Very good TDPs for the size and very premium overall feel. It just costs a lot of extra compared to the competition like the Zephyrus G14. But if you're after the most performance, it's definitely going to be the better performing laptop overall compared to the Zephyrus because it has a higher TDP. Okay, I think we're ready to go. All right, so which is better? Alienware M15R6 3070 11800H, QHD 240 Hz with a MUX switch and G-Sync display, or GE66 11800H 3070 QHD 240 Hz MUX switch? I don't know. That's going to be a really close call, Wicked Droid. Um, I think you're mainly going to have to look at what the pricing is, uh, and if there's any extra features on the laptops that you care about. But I think both of those laptops sound really awesome. Um, if it was my money, I'd probably lean towards the GE66, but I'm not sure what the TDP on the M15R6 is for that 3070. But I know the GE66. I really have liked the build quality and chassis and design for the GE66, uh, which is one of the reasons why I recommend the GP66. So if you're actually after saving some money, I would recommend just skip the GE66 and go with the GP66 if you want to save some money and get roughly the same performance. Um, it's basically identical performance with slightly different chassis. Okay, so taking a look at the performance of this right now, we're getting some pretty low stutters there, down to like 60 FPS, 110, 114. Okay, it's better now, but it definitely was not great there for a little while. Are you able to explain a little more what TDP is, or do you have a video explaining more? So I do have a video, Charles, Jordan Charles. Check out my. It's like 3 most important things to know before you buy. Um, but basically, TDP is thermal design power, and it's how much electricity the GPU can handle being pushed through it at any one time. And typically speaking, the more electricity that it can handle, the more watts it can handle, the better the performance because the clock speed can go higher on the GPU. Like right now, this is the TDP in theory, but it's not. For some reason, Afterburner and the new Radeon series doesn't read it correctly because it's saying 100 watts and then it's like 60 and then it's like 170. So these TDPs are all over the place. Do not look at these TDPs; they're basically useless. Um, I mean, they're not useless, but like we're clearly seeing some performance uptick and downtick with the clocks on the GPU. Um, that's causing some funky performance. Like it goes down, then it goes up, then it goes down, and we're getting. I can't help but think that we've got some kind of driver issue going on there. Something. I don't know what though. Also, oh, maybe this is the 2 clocks. There's 2 GPUs. Maybe it's switching the reading between one and the other. I don't know. I'm really curious though what's going on there. Let's just see what we got for our average at least. I want to make sure that we have the latest drivers too. 95 FPS is decent, especially for the price. Um, but the random drops are just a little bit like worrisome, I guess, you know? 95, okay. Um, Let me try going into Afterburner real quick. It's just this is the Afterburner. This is the on-screen display that I use. Um, so right now we have GPU 1, temperature 1, and temperature 2. We don't need that. Right? Or do we need temperature 2? I feel like so there's two temperatures listed basically, and apparently both of them are for the same GPU. Put the memory clock in there. I don't know. That's so weird. Anyway, so apparently both of these temperatures are the RX6800M, but this clock speed 25, like what's the actual clock speed that Radeon AMD rates it? And then I want to just check here. Let's just make sure that can we check our can we check in here what our driver is at? Software. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Asmid, sorry, I don't know what question you had. Can you repeat it? I don't see it here. Um, benchmark Shadow of the Tomb Raider on external display. Um, yeah, I will do that on my own after, and I'll put that in the review for this laptop. So I just want to check the graphics drivers here, and I just want to make sure that we have the latest driver. I think it's set to automatically update, but just the fact that we're running into the driver issues so much makes me want to just double check. This is the My Asus software by the way, guys. So this software um, you can set your battery charge level in the user series of settings. You should be able to set it in here. You're gonna make me log in first. Skip login. Here's the battery mode, so you can charge 60, 80, or 100% right there. Your system is up to date, it says. It was checked today. Yeah, so we have the latest on everything. Wait, it says it was checked last on June, so okay, so it looks like there's a LAN driver and a Bluetooth driver. Let me just go in here and just look under drivers. V10.20. Radeon software. V10.20 517. So this one's actually, I have a more up-to-date version than what is on Asus's website. So this has updated to whatever is beyond the standard default at least. So, but I would anticipate driver improvements and updates over time that would hopefully reduce some of these little bit of bugs that we're seeing. Also, Gizmo 4, getting CPU only power monitoring instead of combined CPU GPU enable CPU PPT monitoring instead of CPU package power and HW info. Okay, that's true. We could deactivate the power info in here and enable it in disable CPU power here, and then enter HW info, which we have open right here. We should be able to have I don't see power options right off the bat, at least. 5900HX, okay. I believe it's going to be this one or this one. Let's just go in here and look real quick. Down here, we're looking for CPU package power. CPU package power. Okay, so that should show us our exact CPU power now. So, okay. Looks like we're up to date though. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Far Cry 5. Is it worth buying a Razer Blade 15? Highest specs. In general, I would only recommend the Razer Blade 15 to people that like really want just really ultra high premium experience and a unibody chassis. But even then, it's like I think the Legion 7i or Legion 7 has a similar experience in terms of how premium the laptop is. But the Legion 7i is just going to perform so much better. So in general, it's harder for me to recommend the Razer Blade 15 because like if you want something really portable, thin and light, then it's not really the ideal option. And if you want something, because I think the Razer Blade 14 is even better than the 15. And then if you want something that's like better performance, then you might as well just go with something like the Legion 7 or 7i because it's similar level of premium feel, but just way better performance and probably better pricing too. You know CPU PPT instead of CPU package power? Okay, CamTube. Let's see what we get here because I think this is going to be the correct mount here. This is going to be the correct one, I think. This is a great price to performance laptop. Yeah, I would agree so far in general. Aside from the couple of kind of glitchy stutters that we've seen in a couple of games, it's been really good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a test. All ultra, motion blur off. Either CPU PPT or CPU core power shows CPU only wattage. CPU package power still shows combined. But I guess let's see. You may be correct. It's saying it's pulling 110, so maybe you're correct. It looks like you're correct. So because it looks like it's just combining things in HW info. Okay, so 87 FPS on average so far. That's basically, I think that's in between what a 3060 and 3070 would do. Maybe some 3060s would do a little better than this. That said, this typically is a game that tends to favor Intel a little bit more, Intel CPUs more. And this one also does benefit from a mux switch as well. So looks like we did 86. And we'll also try to change the power rating. 86 is still, I think, the thing is that's still going to be exceptionally playable. Like even in these games where we're like not getting optimal performance for the money, it's still pretty good, I think. You know? Let's go to HW info. So we currently have that enabled. Which one is he saying? CPU PPT? Okay, let's try that out. Okay. Next up, CSGO. Can you do a Unigine heavy benchmark, 1080p full scale, all settings maxed out? I don't typically do the heavy benchmark um, except for the stress test. Did you undervolt the GPU and CPU? No. As far as I know, you cannot undervolt the GPU and CPU in this. Yeah, even the keyboard isn't that great on the Razer Blade. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I don't love the keyboard on the Razer Blade lineup. You know, I believe they're still using the same keyboard. What on like all of the different laptops that they have, like from the 14-inch to the 17-inch, and it's like, why don't you have a better keyboard on the 17-inch, especially like with a number pad? Um, like I'm big on having really functional keyboards. There's all this wasted space on either side of the keyboards because they make it small. It makes it so there's room, I guess, to put in really nice speakers, which is a good thing. But okay, so we want full screen, and then usually just everything that they set to auto high is good. It looks like everything is correct here. Go to game and we enable developer console. Okay, and then we go to workshop maps. Yeah, the keyboard on the 17 is just too cramped for me. Like I liked it mostly. Like it has a good feel for me generally typing, but especially the arrow keys and the lack of number pad, those two things. What makes a number pad so appealing to you? Did you see the spreadsheet I created? I type a lot of numbers. I type a lot of numbers, and that's the primary reason. Okay, so right now we're doing 300, 400, 320, 420, 440 looks like, 430, 350, 400. It's like jumping between 300 and 400. 300 to 4, like for around 400, 420, 409, 350, 250, 220, 230, 250, 280, 290, 300. So this is definitely a laptop that's going to be able to play CSGO exceptionally well. I imagine we're going to have still some FPS dips when we look at the smoke here, down to 120, 95, 85, 65, 70, 80, 90, 120, 200, 230, 250. So it definitely still suffers from the same dips that pretty much every game, every game, every machine I've ever ran CSGO, the smoke always kills your FPS, which is really sad. But now we're over 400 again. almost 500 looks like 480, 490. So wow, those are some really good FPS numbers considering we don't have a mux switch though. With an external monitor, definitely going to see a big performance uplift, and probably with better RAM as well. Okay, let's see what we get in CS:GO. So 271 on average. That's that's pretty good. That's like I'm not saying that's amazing, but considering I mean it's basically what I would expect. It's right in line with what the Scar 15 and like Strix G15 with the 5900HX put up. So and this is a very CPU bound game, so it would make sense that we're getting about the same FPS. I currently have a Gigabyte or a 17XYB. How do you think the laptop if you are testing would stack up against a 10875 RTX 2080 Super Max P? I think it would just depend on what game you're playing. I'm not sure. Does the Aorus 17X have a mux switch or not? Um, Next up, we have Flight Simulator. Hi, please suggest a laptop under $1,700 USD from HP, Acer, Dell, Apple, or Razer. Harshita Yadav, I would recommend just hopping over to this spreadsheet. There's a link in the description. You can look at all my recommended laptops and you can kind of shop this price range. But under the $1,500, I think top picks would probably be Legion 5 Pro, Aorus 15P, uh, Asus ROG Strix G15 AMD Advantage Edition. Um, and then if you have a little bit more money to spend, the GP66 Leopard I think is a worthy upgrade as well. So lots of great options to consider there. All right, so I'm really curious to see how Flight Simulator does now because they patched it to make it use more cores than one. And basically, the patch made it so that Flight Simulator should be much more playable in VR, for example, with higher FPS. And I'm really curious to see what kind of performance we get. Because in the past, pretty much all the laptops were getting like 27 to 30 FPS on every laptop I tested, pretty much, including Intel 10th gen, 11th gen, 5900HX. Just pretty much all of them just get capped like that. So, bro, will you do a Legion 5 Pro 3070 review? I may do a Legion 5 Pro review. Lenovo was talking about sending me one, and then I haven't heard from them in a couple weeks. So, hi Gizmo, can you choose a Scar 15 3070 Zephyrus G15? Okay, choose between a Scar 15 3070, Zephyrus G15 3060, Strix G15 3060, Strix G17 3070. Um, Between all of those, I would pick the Scar 15, Rishev, because it's definitely a more premium feel for the most part. It has a better display, at least if you get the QHD version. Um, and if you don't get the Scar 15, go with the 3070 Strix G17. That'd be the next best option. There's a big performance uplift between 3060 and 3070. I think it's worthy of the extra money. And also, yeah. That said, if you need something more portable, then the Zephyrus is still a decent choice. So, okay, so here we are, full screen, 100% renders resolution. Frame rate, we want what? No, we don't want VSync at all. We want Ultra. Okay, well, Ultra preset, 100% render resolution, full screen. This is what we test at. Let's see how we do. uh, okay, departure runway would be PDX. There we go. Flight conditions, we want. Oh, that's cool. Look at the background. You can see the rotation of the Earth, the sun around the Earth. Or yeah, the not the sun around the Earth, but the Earth's rotation relative to the sun. Um, so I believe I tested at 1 p.m. Right there, I believe is what we tested at. Clear skies, all that looks good. This is the correct plane. Let's go ahead and try flying. Why is this game so demanding? Because it was so poorly optimized when it was created. Um, that's why it's so demanding. And they recently, like I said, they recently launched a patch that hopefully makes it more optimized. So I'm really curious to see if we see an increase in performance. This is a game that struggled to run at really high FPS on any laptop, pretty much. You don't really need that high of FPS really to enjoy this game. If you just have 30, you can still enjoy it. But um, yeah, look at that, 48 FPS. Um, much better than before. Okay, gotta refresh my brain on the control schemes. It's like, I think it's F, is it F2? Uh, increase throttle, F3. Okay, F3. All right, we've increased our throttle to maximum, and we release the parking brake, and we let her roll. And yeah, wow, this is definitely much better FPS than we were getting before. Um, I'm really curious to see how this would run on other systems now, because I mean, basically before it was like 27 to 30 FPS, and we were doing like 45 there for a while, and I can tell visually that it's smoother just looking at the display. Okay, and we're almost there. It goes. Okay, so we got 45-31, which is by far the best we've ever seen in this game because of the new patch. Um, very cool to see that we are seeing a big performance uplift in Flight Simulator. And look, now that we're in the air, we're getting 50 something. Can I? I don't know. I don't know how to control this. I think you need a number pad if you want to fly it. Seriously. Anyway, but that's the test, and that's a big performance uplift. So congrats to the developers of Microsoft Flight Simulator. You've improved your game drastically. Am I going to test Forza Horizon 4? No, you can see which games I'm going to test on the left side there of the display. So next up, we have Rainbow Six Siege. Do you think paying an extra 20K INR is worth it to buy a 3070 SCAR 15? I'm not sure how much 20K INR is, but I would say a 3070 SCAR 15 is probably going to be 20% faster, probably at least than a 3060. But more importantly, the Scar 15 also has a better keyboard, better RGB lighting, and if the Scar 15 has a QHD display, to me, all those three things push it over to make it worth it, at least at US pricing. I don't know about your pricing. 20K INR is about 300 USD. Okay, then yeah, I would say that's worth it. But I don't know what all of the settings the complete specs. So as long as it comes with QHD, the improved display, which has higher brightness and higher resolution and better color gamut, um, that's probably the biggest upgrade. And then you also have the 3070, which is another 20% more performance or so. Um, you combine all those things together, it can be worth it. Jordan Charles, Gizmo, when you live stream, is it always going to be around the time you did now, or do you just randomly, whenever you have the time? It's pretty random. Oftentimes it's in the evening, though. I mean, right now it's 11:30 p.m. right now. So sometimes we run into issues where we have to retest games, and it just takes a while. No, both the Scar 15 is full HD 300 hertz. Both are Ryzen 7. Um, hmm. Okay, Rishev. In that case, then I don't know. That makes it a harder choice, Rishev. I would say you might want to look around, I guess, and see what you. Okay, looks like we're on the wrong GPU. It loaded into the integrated GPU. Okay. Let me try restarting the game. Hopefully we can get this to go to the correct GPU. Maybe it will correct itself automatically. So Rishabh, I'd say in general, the 3060 3070 upgrade is probably worth about 200. The rest of the stuff on the Scar 15 may be worth the 100. I don't know. That's a closer call though. So I would say good luck picking. Um, but yeah. What's that temperature? So yeah, this is a really the temperature glitched out. Looks like because it looks like we're not running on the correct. It's not. We're not running the game on the correct GPU right now. So let's try quitting the desktop. What do we do when we can't run it to the correct GPU? Can we run the game in here? See if we can open the game in this. It's not finding it. It doesn't look like. Maybe that's why it didn't. Is the GPU dead? No, I don't think the GPU is dead. Um, no, basically when you launch the game, it selected the wrong GPU to run the game. Basically. Did mine come with the newer RAM kit? No. As far as I know, this is a slow RAM in mine. Hey, I just got the Asus Tough Dash F15 3050 Ti, and I'm considering returning it for the Omen RTX 3060. Envisioner, I think that may be a good choice. Um, you're going to get quite a bit more performance with the RTX 3060 than a 3050 Ti. It's going to be a pretty big upgrade, and it may not cost you that much extra. A 3060 130 watt is slower than an RTX 3070 130 watt by about 11%. So, Celixi, I think you maybe only so that the 11% you're quoting there is likely referring primarily to a mixture of CPU bound games. So I think in GPU specific games, it's going to be more than 11%. In CPU specific games, it may not even be any different at all if the game is very CPU bound, like CSGO. Um, so, in general, though, in pure GPU performance, which is measured, say, for example, through Timespy, um, you get about 9,900 or so with a 130 watt RTX 3060, and you get about 11,000 or so with a 130 watt RTX 3070. So, or 10,800 or so, maybe 11,000, depending on if you have the mux switch or not, which is about 20% more. But that's you're only going to see that kind of performance uplift in very GPU heavy titles. You're not going to see it in CPU bound games. So 1080p, you're not going to see it as often. Um, okay, Rainbow Six Siege does not want to work for us. Um, I'm not sure how to force it to pick the right GPU. How to force RX6800M to be used when launching game. So this is going to be a good question. Celux says tested with 3 laptops, Strix G15, same R7 5800H, same RAM, only GPU difference. That's cool. But like I said, it's just going to depend on what game you're playing and if it's very GPU bound or CPU bound. But I mean, I think you're probably right in terms of you mix all the CPU and GPU together. Performance under tuning. Performance. We don't have tuning. I wish there was a way to add a game. Okay. Maybe we can make it so it runs correctly if we add this game. Oh, I have it on the external SSD, I think. Let me check which folder it's set to. Steam library. Okay. Uh, let's see if we can launch the game now. I'm looking for a G14 or G15 type laptop with a camera. Any recommendations? I believe the Razer Blade 14 has a camera. There's a dedicated GPU only option in Armory Crate that may be useful. Maybe, but I didn't see anything in Armory Crate last time I checked. See right here, typically there is that option. Like normally there's an option to switch between them, but I don't see an option to switch between them here. Is it somewhere else? If anyone in chat knows where to go for this part, I'd appreciate it. When I hit launch game, it didn't do anything. Tom Clancy remember 670 to launch with optional parameters. Okay. Hey, maybe now it'll launch. Let's see if it loads correctly. Have you updated your BIOS yet on the Alienware X17 to test the mux switch performance? If I might ask, DJ Flippy, I had updated the BIOS to the latest one when I did all my performance benchmarks, and I did not see any option for a mux switch. But I've already sent the X17 back to Dell, so I don't have it anymore. Did they add the ability to switch the GPU on the internal without having to use an external monitor for the X17? I hadn't seen anywhere that they had enabled that, but it'd be cool to know if they did. And it still says low VRAM. Okay. How the force views a launching game. Sear. Indeed, they did. Nice. Uh, that's really good news, DJ Flippy. I wish I had known that. Definitely would help make that laptop much more attractive, getting the 4K option. What is the main laptop you use for gaming editing? Um, right now, I'm using a Legion 7i and a Scar 15 kind of in tandem, but I'm about to switch everything over to the Legion 7i. Okay. Well, it looks like it's supposed to be in there, but let's dig through the settings just a little bit more. I think this is going to be an issue that a lot of people will run into. I'd love to solve it during this live stream, but yeah. Someone else suggested. So Alienware added a mux switch with the recent BIOS update. Why can't Asus do that too? Because you have to have the physical mux switch on the hard drive, like on the actual motherboard. And if they don't have that on there, you won't be able to do it. Use Windows graphic settings. Do you know where the Windows graphic settings are? Let's see if I can go in here and click it. Graphics settings. Choose an app to set settings. See if we can find it. I think this may be what you're talking about. Haha. There. I think this is where it is. Graphics settings, added Rainbow Six Siege. Let's try running it now. Did we figure it out? Strix G Advantage Edition or RTX version for gaming and productivity workload, Adobe Premiere and After Effects. I think they would both be good. I believe Adobe is good with both. Thanks, Anurag. Appreciate the tip. Hopefully that we can get this thing working. If we can't, let's move on to the next game. Doesn't seem to want to run though. Maybe I need to have it set on the other one. It says it's optimizing shaders right now down here. Gizmo Slip Tech, Razor Blade 15 with 2080 Super or Oris 15P 3070. I've been told the 2080 Super is on par with the 3070. They're pretty close, Mystery CT. It just depends on what TDP the 2080 Super or 3070 is at. So I'm of the opinion that no one does what you do better than you. Thanks for keeping us nerds informed. Thanks, DJ Flippy. I try. I think, honestly, I think Jared Tech does a better job than I do. I try. I try. Uh, he puts a lot more hours into making the content, just to put out lots of content. So, hey, this looks like it's working. It opened up in the background without me realizing. Um, it's no longer giving us the low VRAM error, so I think we are good to go. Hey, 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 hey. Tamara Day says, do you switch out the RAM? No, I have not, Tamara. This is the stock default RAM. Okay, wow, we're doing over 200 FPS. That's still very good. It's not as good as the 3070 or 3080s, but we also don't have a mux switch, so I think a mux typically in this one is like a 20% performance uplift or so. So 20 to 25%. So we're with that, we're probably looking at like 280 to 300 FPS with the external monitor. The 6800M was just sleeping. Yeah, Windows didn't set it to run the right GPU when you launched the game. So using the Windows graphics settings is the key. But it's running great now, so fantastic. You and Jared are the go-to guys. We appreciate your work. Thanks. I appreciate you saying that. I'm trying hard here. I can get burnt out at times or get busy at times, but I'm trying to get you guys the content you need to make the right decisions. Okay, 230 or so, 231 FPS. Very nice. That's very good performance again for the money. It's for the like despite the mux lack of mux switch and the slow RAM, it's still very good performance despite that, you know? All right, what's next? Witcher 3. Um, uh, uh-oh. Looks like Witcher 3 needs a giant update. Looks like it's just needing to re-download the whole game. I guess we'll have to skip Witcher 3. Yeah, it's needing the full update basically. Um, Red Dead Redemption 2, we'll go on to that one for now. Are you planning on switching out the RAM? Um, Tamara, I don't think I need to switch out the RAM. I will do some tests on an external monitor before I make the actual review. Um, but I think we've got a pretty clear idea that the RAM is a pretty strong improvement in CPU bound games. Based on I don't like other people have done the test. I've done similar tests myself. You know, it can be like a anywhere from like a 7 or 8% to 14, 15% performance uplift um, in CPU bound games. So it's a pretty noticeable improvement. And then you also have the mux switch, which I think is arguably a bigger improvement depending on the game. You know, anywhere from just a few percent all the way up to 25, 30, 40%. Do you think the Gigabyte G5 Intel i5 10 500H with RTX 3060 is worth it for 1244 USD? Um, I think that's a fair price, Jonas. It's not a great price. It's not a bad price. Like a great price would have been 1100, like what it used to be. Like that's a great price. And for 1244, I think it's just a solid price. It's a competitive price. They know they can sell it at that price because it's a good it's probably still a good deal, but not a great deal, you know? And there's not as much competition. Looks like we got some errors when trying to launch Red Dead Redemption, which is not great. Let's try opening it again. And if it happens again, I'll take a closer look at the errors. Have you used the Asus ROG Flow with the 3080 XG Mobile? Mike, I have not, but I have looked at some reviews, and the performance is good with it, but it's not the same performance as you get with like a full scale 3080 unless you're using an external monitor with the XG Mobile. So if you use a if you use the box basically as a eGPU enclosure at your home hooked up to your external monitor, that's when you're getting closer to the full potential of the why didn't this launch? Um, of that XG Mobile part, you know, because if you're using the external GPU um, in the enclosure on the internal laptop display, it's kind of like a even worse bottleneck than Optimus. Um, yes, the XG Mobile has better bandwidth than say Thunderbolt, but it's still not quite as good as what you get with the actual um, like a true connection. So this keeps canceling. I don't know why. It's not even giving me an error. Maybe I should try restarting the machine. Rockstar, connecting to Rockstar Game Services. Yeah, Rockstar Game Services just closes out. Okay, I guess we'll just try restarting the machine, see if that fixes it. Um, was the little liquid metal issue in the AMD GPUs only? I believe it was focused around the AMD GPU. Mike Coretta, okay, never mind. You already asked that question. I already answered it. Take a shot whenever he says Muck Switch chat. LOL. Muck switch, muck switch, muck switch, muck switch, muck switch. Oh God, you're drunk now. Um, that's hilarious. Harshita, if you need to buy from HP, Dell, Acer, or Apple, I'd probably recommend something like the Dell M15R4 or M17R4, and see if you can get an RTX 3070 for around $1,700 USD. And also, I did answer your question earlier. Not sure if you saw it, but I did go into more detail earlier. So, but I don't think I mentioned those specifically last time. Okay, let's see if Red Dead Redemption will run now. It's interesting that we're getting these kind of driver issues, running these games. And again, this is partly this is games are not as dry. Like I've said this before, the Radeon drivers are just not quite as mature as the NVIDIA ones. There's just not as many laptops out there, not as many people testing the games, not as many developers optimizing for this GPU. So little things like which laptop GPU is being ran may not be, pre-set up, you know? Looks like Red Dead Redemption 2 does not want to load. Let's try local files, verify integrity of game files. Validating Steam files. Gizmo, I bought the GP66 with the 3080 and oh my, it's a beast. Reese Steel, nice. Yeah, I think that's a great laptop, especially for the money. Mystery CT, hey Gizmo Slip Tech, still looking to confirm, but the 2080 Super and the Razer Blade is 90 watts with 55 watt TDP versus the Aorus 3070, which is 115 to 130. The Aorus 15P is 115 to 130, I believe. And yeah, the Razer Blade Pro is 90 to 105 for the new one. Oh, but that's a 2080 Super. I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head even though I owned it. Okay, so 89 files were validated and reacquired. So it looks like we re-grabbed some files. Oh, and now it needs to reinstall Red Dead Redemption 2. It's downloading 107 gigs. Oh no. Red Dead Redemption 2 is kaputs as well. Okay, what other games do we have to run? Cyberpunk and Valorant are the last two. Okay, so let's see if Cyberpunk. I've ran Cyberpunk on this machine before, so hopefully this install is good. So I'm running, by the way, I'm running the games off of an external SSD because this laptop only comes with a 512 gig internal SSD, which is not enough to install all the games that I run for my tests. So I pretty much have to use an external SSD to be able to run this or upgrade the internal SSD if I were to run them, because I just can't fit them all on the 512 gig. And I think The Witcher 3 and the Red Dead Redemption 2, both of those errored out because of the external SSD, probably. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this versus the GS66 with the 3060? The GS66 with the 3060 will be more portable, and it has a mux switch so CPU-bound games will perform better. Like if you play Fortnite, it'll probably have more FPS than this laptop. But in any of the GPU-bound games, this laptop should crush the GS66 for the most part. So you'll have this weird thing where the GS66 will outperform this laptop in CPU-bound games because of the mux, and then probably better RAM. And then you also have the fact that this doesn't have a mux and then has lower RAM, so that also affects it. But overall, that's kind of the summary that GS66 is more portable, better CPU-bound game performance. So it just depends on which games you play, whether you're going to get more performance from this one or the GS66. But in general, for the majority of people, I think this is going to be the safer buy. It'll be more future-proof. And even in CPU-bound games, you're still getting good performance. Okay, so it looks like we have everything set to Ultra. RTX is set to Ultra with DLSS off. We could We could try tuning dynamic fidelity FX. This would be an interesting experiment, but I kind of, I want to, but we've already been streaming for 2.5 hours and my voice is going out already. So, um, I think we're going to try it with RTX on. And I see. I'm not even sure which settings to play with here. I need to spend some time actually messing with this. Maybe we should do a live stream just dedicated to messing with Fidelity FX and seeing what we think of it. That would be pretty interesting, huh? Chat, if you feel he is good and helped you, please donate some small amount. He is working hard. Don't just say do it. LOL. We could try. I appreciate the support. Another way to support me is by into the AM t-shirts. Link in the description. This is another way to support me. So really like these t-shirts. And if you want, so you want something that's stylish and it supports me at the same time, and you need some shirts, good quality shirts, into the AM shirts. Link in the description. Um, cool. Well, let's just go ahead and give this a shot. Harshita says, "You're the best YouTuber in the world. Thanks for solving my question." No problem, Harshita. Good luck getting a laptop. And it's okay if you can't afford to donate. And just to be clear, like if you are going to buy a laptop, um, and you're in the US, uh, it's possible for you to help support my channel just by whatever link you choose to buy the laptop. Like if you go to my spreadsheet and you click through the link when you buy the laptop, a lot of those links are affiliate links, so they will help support me if you end up buying through them. So, okay, and we also need to launch Afterburner because we restarted the machine. I hope Afterburner loads in. So I'm not anticipating really great performance or anything here because we have RTX enabled and we don't have DLSS. We have ray tracing enabled. Let's try restarting the game so we get Afterburner overlay. Um, so yeah, I mean, a way for you to support me without having to spend any extra money is that if you use the links in the spreadsheet when you buy, go to buy, um, like right before you add to cart, just be sure to go through the link when you add it to cart. It'll at least support my channel that way without you spending any extra money. But no pressure to do that. I don't, if you find a better deal somewhere at a local shop or whatever, you just do what you can do. Get the best deal you can. Any way to overclock the GPU? Yeah, you should be able to, I believe, with Afterburner. At least traditionally, Afterburner will overclock AMD, Radeon GPUs and NVIDIA GPUs. So I haven't tried it though. Was liquid metal issue on the AMD GPUs only? Yes, Anurag. They actually don't use liquid metal. Typically, Asus does not use liquid metal on any of the NVIDIA GPUs. This is the first GPU they've actually used liquid metal on. Because it's a more complex process, basically, to set it up. Um, and it actually failed a little bit, right? So yeah, so all right, so we're at 1080p, all ultra settings, RTX. Let me just make sure this is, I'll have to restart this. Yeah, we're on full screen. Okay, cool. Uh, yeah, so you see all max settings, all ultra. We'll try ultra. We'll try loading this. Um, we'll do this test once with RTX on ultra, and then we'll try it with RTX off. I'm tempted to actually try the Fidelity FX as well, just because it'll just be real quick. Okay. All right, let's see what we get. 23 and 20. Mystery CT, thanks for the $10. Wanted to say thank you and shout out to Selexio. Waiting for Razer Blade 15 from Best Buy and Aorus 15P. This one was on Amazon, wasn't on your sheet. I can reorder if you give me a link. Okay, well, Mystery, it's okay. I mean, it's not, you don't have, like, it's okay if you end up finding a link somewhere else to buy it, it's totally okay. Um, just if it's easy. If it's easy and it's not much hassle for you, it's just another opportunity or way to help. I mean, if you really want to help me and you're getting something off Amazon, we can create a custom link if you email it to me. I can take some time to do that. So we got 2118, but Mystery CT, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. I do appreciate it. Okay, so 2118 with RTX enabled. I mean, without DLSS, that's pretty much what I'm expecting. So DLSS off. Okay. Well, I got 2118. Let's try Fidelity FX. I've not ever tried Fidelity FX. This will be the first time ever trying it live on stream here. Be interesting to try. See what happens. Damn, I bought an AX17 and didn't know about the affiliate link. Feels bad, man. Well, I work in the gaming industry, so I'll tell the guys at work to use your links. Okay, DJ Flippy, no problem. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so we'll try Fidelity FX. Let's just see what happens. All right. Um, target frames per second. Let's just set it to 60. And the minimum resolution we'll do 50. I don't know. This is the first time trying this, so let's just see what that looks like, right? Okay, well, we are getting some flashing. Whoa, interesting. Okay, everything looks a little bit fudgy now. Okay, probably because I set it to be so low. Like a lot of the detail is lost, like the fine detail, like around his head and face. I think 50 is just too low. Let's try setting this to 70 instead. Okay, the detail is definitely better, but you're still losing a good amount of detail there. Let's try 85. Okay, 85 is very minimal detail loss. This looks almost native, but not quite. This is very interesting. Let's try 100. So if we're just at 100, it's not doing anything. It's the exact same performance as before, 22, 23. Okay. So very, very interesting though, right? Um, static fidelity FX. Let's see. So you have dynamic and then you have static. So let's just try 80. Huh. This is definitely a good way, like especially if you're at really high resolution, like 4K, you could kind of tweak down to exactly the kind of performance you're looking for with something like this or the dynamic one. Very cool overall feature, but not something that's really going to make RTX achievable. Let's turn off RTX and try the test. Okay. Okay. Guess I've been chatting like crazy up in here. Do you think if someone were to get the G14, that it would be okay for the future of gaming? Like it would be future proof? So Jordan Charles, I think at 1080p resolution, it's going to be really good for a long time. Um, especially as long as you're willing to turn some settings down to like medium, high, or medium. You're not expecting maximum settings for a long time. Okay, so we're on ultra settings. Whoa, this is smooth. 77, 66. Let's see what we get for an average. This is really high FPS in Cyberpunk. Um, wow. This makes me really curious what we get. Let me just pull up my latest tests. What do I have typically in this? Whoa. So my Scar 15 in this test with RTX DLSS off only gets 49 FPS. We're hitting 71. Ha! What? This is crushing an RTX 3080 in this particular game and test. Absolutely crushing it. Wow. Okay. 72, 47. Are we sure some settings not changed or something? God damn, that's insane. Maybe they improved the drivers too. I don't know. That is incredibly. I'm blown away. That's awesome. 72-47. That's that's definitely a highlight of the test so far. Um, the biggest lead gain I wasn't expecting to be Cyberpunk, but I guess it kind of makes sense. 72-47. Do you recommend laptop stands? Yeah, I think it's a good idea, especially if you tend to use an external monitor. You can kind of raise the laptop up a little bit. Um, you can make the laptop monitor be the same height as the desktop monitor, and then it increases the airflow underneath it. Okay. What's our next test then? Valorant, which I have not installed, but it is very fast to install. So these ones are just going to take too long, so we'll just let Valorant install. Can you? All right. So sorry, chat. You guys have been just chatting like crazy lately. Hard for me to read all of them. Gonna play some late night Dota before bed. All right. See you, Mystery. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Takamara says I personally love my Lenovo Y5070, but only lasted more than 4 years due to me not taking care of it very well. It's kind of blurry. Someone says. Let me make sure that we're in focus. Should be good. Then the HP Pavilion Gaming 15 is my second gaming laptop. It only lasted 2 years, having issues like BIOS crash, hard drive failure, battery failure, motherboard failure. Cyberpunk is bug flame or not? The Pavilion has bad build quality. Yeah. I had owned two HP laptops and both times it deteriorated very badly in the first 1.5 years. I think the cheaper HP laptops can deteriorate pretty quickly, but I think the Omen is gonna hold up a little bit better. But yeah. Rishev says I can live with slightly lower performance, but cannot stand constant trips to the local customer service center. These QC issues are the main reason I'm opting for the 3070 rather than the AMD GPU, which is available in India. Gotcha. 3070 laptop versus 6800M. What do you recommend? So after today and doing these tests, I think the 6800M is still a good choice for a lot of people, especially for the price. It's still really, really good. If I was buying this laptop, I would get the extended warranty from Best Buy. So I would order it and I would get the black tie protection probably for 3 years. And then so that's basically what I would do if I was buying a laptop for $1,700 or less. This one would be in my top three recommendations for sure. So I think it's for $1,700. I think you're looking at like something like the Legion 5 Pro if you can get a 3070 version for under 1,700, and then I'd have to look over my recommendation list, but a huge part of me is like wanting to recommend like the Aorus 15G, just something with a mux switch. Just depends on what games you play, basically. If you play CPU bound games, then I would say Advanced Optimus or a mux switch should be a priority. So just depends. Play a deathmatch in Valorant. It's the most demanding out of all the game modes. Okay, yeah, that's what I usually play anyway. Mike Caretta said it could be Smart Shift. Uh, yeah. Will there be a full review of this laptop? Yeah, I do want to make a full review of this laptop as well. A whole separate video. But yeah, this is definitely going to be one of my recommendations, but it's going to have some serious caveats too. So it just depends on what games you play. Hi Gizmo, could you try Cold War? Cold War, uh, I don't usually benchmark Cold War. Mark Credit says, sorry, I was not watching live. Oh, okay. You were watching back when we were seeing the stutters probably in Apex. Does the laptop's ROG logo on the back lights up with the screen back LED? Usually that is the way it works. Yes, this has a subtle glow, but it's not that bright. So, but yeah, it looks like it uses the backlight of the display. Can you tell that should I buy ROG Strix 17 with 3070? I'm not sure about the price there. I think you're talking to one of these other. I think you're talking to Rishib or something. Okay, looks like we are needing to restart the machine now. Does anyone have any problems with this laptop? Harshita, Yadev, there's definitely been some people with problems with this laptop. So um, whether you're going to have problems with it, though, is the real question. And most likely not. But yeah. Can we see some Minesweeper? If you can get 300 FPS in Minesweeper, I mean, you just got a baller laptop, right? Tamara says this or the Scar 15. Um, Scar 15 is definitely a bit more premium, but costs more. So it depends on if you want to save money or not. Um, Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this machine for the price. I guess that's the main thing. It's like it's like it's just I think the thing about this machine is like you see the potential when you hook it up to an external monitor and upgrade the RAM, and you just go, if Asus only made these two changes, we'd be seeing like 20% more performance on average. I don't know if it's that much, but it'd be close to that much if you average all the games together, probably, so it just makes you sad when you're like, but despite that making you sad, it's like it's still good. Like even at the 20% performance reduction, it's still good performance. You're like, it's that's the thing. I don't know. So it still beats 3060s the vast majority of the time, and still competes with 3070s and sometimes 3080s. So that's why I'm still like, yeah, this is a pretty baller laptop still. Hey Gizmo, how many years can these gaming laptops last in general? Because they're quite expensive in India. Um, I see that's such a hard question to ask, but I bet you on average these laptops will last of regular daily use. Let's say you game for 2 hours a day and then just use the laptop to like browse the web and do daily work stuff for 6 to 8 hours or something. So take 10 hours of average daily use. I would guesstimate the laptops on average are going to last 5 years of that much use. Um, on average. Some will last well beyond that, 10 years. Some will die sooner than that, 6 months or 2 years. But hopefully, if you run into issues, they will die, sooner before the warranty's out. Now, all of that said, if you take care of the laptop, you do repaste the CPU and GPU paste every say 3 years at a minimum. Um, you can definitely help extend the life and maintain performance over the long haul. Um, I think the biggest thing that almost always goes out on people's laptops is the battery. How to turn this laptop on for future use? You just press the power button in the right side. Hey guys, well, I have around $1,500. Any good laptop recommendations? The 101. So just if you want, the best laptop recommendations are going to be in this list right here under My Top Gaming Laptops USA. It's going to be around this price point. So you're looking at like Omen 15Z with a 3070, Legion 5 Pro, Aorus 15P. Also look at the Aorus 15G. And then if you have a little bit more money, you can go for the Strix 15, the laptop I've got right here. And if you wait, you can actually get this laptop. Sometimes it goes on sale for 1,500. Like this was on sale for 1,500. We don't have our display stats. Oh, we don't have after. Forgot to open Afterburner. There it is. So you can actually get this laptop for $14.99. That's what it was on sale for $14.99 like a week ago. So if you're patient, it'll probably come back on sale for that price eventually. So that's my recommendation for right now. So we're only getting 157 FPS. Obviously, still very playable, very smooth gameplay, but it's lower FPS than I would ideally love. Very low wattage utilization on the CPU and GPU. Very good temperatures. Definitely not heavily utilizing. Oh, when they're blue, they're invincible. Okay, that's good to know. That's new. Hey, finally got a kill. That took a while. These people are so good. They're all really good at the game. All right, let's go with the Phantom. More spray and pray, please. If you could get the GS66 for 1,500, would you? 3060, 1 terabyte, 16 grab. That's a decent deal. I think only get that if you want to prioritize portability over performance, because it's one of the more portable, good price laptops. Or not good price, but more portable. Still really good performance. Really good. I think the biggest thing about the GS66 is its mux switch, and so you're going to get really good CPU bound game performance for like if you're an esports player on the go. So why is the FPS so low? Combination of Valorant optimization, no mux switch, and the slower RAM. Those three things put together. So if you play it on an external monitor, replace the RAM. I would expect those two things to boost our FPS to over 200. But honestly, like our GPU is not utilized that much. Like our CPU is only 25%, GPU is only 70%. So and this is still extremely playable, very smooth. So, but yeah, I am disappointed that we're not getting more than 200 FPS. Like pretty much all the Intel stuff, and even the Scar 15 and like those are getting over 200 FPS. I need to look up like Valorant optimization guides because I'm pretty sure that there would be some optimization things we could do that would dramatically boost the FPS. Because I feel like it's not utilizing all the cores, or something funky's going on. Oh, Intel can do 300 plus. Yeah, I've seen some Intel laptops do about 300. Like I've seen Intel like 9th or 10th gen do close to 300, but then I've also seen 11th gen only do 200. It's really funky, the performance in Valorant. And I think it comes down to Valorant's optimization because look at this. We're only 50 degrees Celsius on the GPU, 64 degrees on the CPU. We're barely pushing wattage through. I think this is mostly a Valorant optimization issue. It could be a driver or Valorant optimization, something along those lines. Enable multi-core rendering in the settings. I think that should already be enabled, but let me make sure. Oh yeah, I forgot to check this, but usually the default settings are good. Multi-threaded rendering is already on right here. Multi-threaded rendering is set to the on position already. Let me try turning it off. Let me see what that does. Looks like the same FPS. Hi. It's really hard to get Legion 5 Pro laptops in Malaysia. It's hard to get Legion 5 Pro laptops anywhere, unless you're willing to pay a big premium price upgrade. So, ooh, got me. Oh, someone back here. Ah, it's just constantly being shot from behind. We'll let this game finish up here. We're almost to the end. So overall impressions of this laptop, it's just so it's such good bang for the buck, but at the same time, it's just so sad because we see the true potential performance of the machine. Um, so I'm here's to hoping that eventually we see like the full performance, like with the let's say advanced Optimus or a Mux switch with the Radeon 6800M, and like let's say some other revamped brand, like let's say Lenovo or some other brand eventually makes one of these with a 6800M, could be freaking awesome. So, what's your opinion on buying this along with an external monitor versus a 3080 Advanced Optimus laptop? So, just a 3080 Advanced Optimus laptop is going to cost you way more typically than this plus an external monitor. Like you can get a decent external monitor for like, 300, 400 bucks. Um, Sometimes less, sometimes more, depends on what you're getting for an external monitor. Um, but yeah, I think that should be a great option. And if you're gonna go to the extra mile, you probably want to get a RAM replacement too. Um, but in general, I think a 3080 will typically give you more performance than this laptop in the majority of games, even with an external monitor. It's just mainly the crazy good price to performance value of this laptop is just I think on a another level compared to the majority. So that's it for the live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Into the AM shirts, links in the description. Um, Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate all the support, all the people that donated. And yeah, if you guys want to see more of my content, you can go back to my channel, check out my previous live streams or my reviews. And I'll see you guys in the next live stream. My goal is to make a complete review for this laptop soon. And then I've also got the performance analysis between the Legion 7i, the Alienware X17, and the GE76 coming up. But I do need to live stream the Legion 7i's benchmarks, or at least do them on my own potentially off of live stream before I can make that video. So there's kind of an extra step before that happens. I'm not sure which video I'm going to do next for my official next review, but it's coming up. So looking forward to doing that. It's going to be fun. I'll see you guys in the next one. Brandon out. Peace.